Good morning and welcome to Around the Globe on Aneke TV. First, let's look at stories making the headlines. Top officials call for urgent peace and security across Nigeria. Federal workers demand payment of 35,000 naira wage arrears. Nigeria Immigration IOM strengthen digital border security. Sokoto State confirms dengue fever outbreak. Pope's envoy declares open Enugu Catholic Diocesan Synod. International news, Mexican youth protest against rising crime. UK government announces major asylum reforms. Japan seeks to de-escalate tensions between Taiwan and China. DR Congo ends Nigeria's 2026 World Cup hopes. I am Aneke. Now the news in details. Senate President Godswill Akpabio says restoring peace and unity in Plateau State and across Nigeria must remain a top priority, stressing that the nation cannot rely solely on external interventions to end persistent violence. Representing President Bola Tinubu at a political reception in Jos, the Senate President reaffirmed the administration's commitment to rebuilding trust among communities and strengthening security response mechanisms. He insisted that Nigerians themselves must take ownership of the peace process for any intervention to be sustainable. His remarks came as Nigeria continues to confront a series of coordinated attacks across different regions, prompting renewed concerns from influential political leaders. Former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwakwanto warned that banditry in Kano's border communities was escalating beyond ordinary criminality and urged the federal government to act swiftly before the situation deteriorates. Kwakwanso also expressed displeasure at any form of negotiation with criminal groups, describing such settlements as counterproductive. Similarly, Emir of Kano Muhammadu Sanusi II called for stronger community vigilance during a sympathy visit to the troubled Faruruwa community. The Emir stressed that local intelligence remains crucial to preventing incursions, noting that security forces rely heavily on timely community reporting. He urged traditional institutions and grassroots structures to intensify efforts in monitoring suspicious movements, especially in areas prone to cross-border infiltration. Meanwhile, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas said President Tinubu is strengthening partnerships with traditional rulers as part of a broader national security strategy under the Renewed Hope agenda. He emphasized that the administration is adopting a multi-layered approach, combining military deployment with local engagement. A Yoruba socio-political group, the YDV, also raised concerns over increasing attacks on farmers in the southeast, warning that food security is under threat as several farmers are abandoning their farmlands due to rising insecurity. Federal civil servants are warning that delayed payment of the remaining 3 months of the 35,000 naira wage award is deepening financial hardship for workers already struggling with high inflation and cost of living pressures. The award, negotiated in 2023 as temporary relief during economic reforms, has been paid only in staggered installments, causing frustration among employees across ministries and agencies. Many workers say rising transport costs, food prices and school fees have made the arrears more urgent than ever. Civil servants, including Dr. Uchi Anune and Mr. Joseph Ede, insist the federal government must demonstrate sincerity by clearing their arrears at once instead of waiting for labor unrest. They argue that the delays weaken morale and fuel mistrust, especially after previous disputes with organized labor led to repeated strike threats. Some workers say the government benefits from their patience but fails to uphold timelines that protect household stability. The workers also warned that prolonged uncertainty could trigger a new wave of agitation reminiscent of earlier nationwide protests. They stress that prompt payment is necessary not only to ease personal hardship, but to prevent disruptions in government operations. Labor unions, though yet to announce any formal action, were monitoring the situation closely as the inflation continues to undermine purchasing power. Responding to the concerns, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, represented by Mr. Bawa Mokwari, stated the government's commitment to settling the arrears. He explained that 2 months of the award have been paid and that subsequent tranches would be released based on fund availability. Mokwa assured workers that the remaining 3 installments would be cleared, but gave no specific timeline for completion, leaving workers anxious for faster action. The Nigerian Immigration Service (NIS) and the International Organization for Migration (IOM) have reaffirmed their long-standing partnership aimed at modernizing Nigeria's migration and border governance system. At a review meeting in Lagos, NIS Zonal Coordinator ACGEL Anogwa described the collaboration as one that has significantly raised Nigeria's capacity to manage migration flows and strengthen regional security. He said the cooperation has delivered notable results in institutional reforms and operational improvement. NIS Coordinator General Kemi Nandap underscored the engagement's importance in shaping a new strategic direction for digital border management. She highlighted IOM support in policy development and capacity building, especially in developing the national border management strategy. Nandap added that modern border technology must remain central to Nigeria's security architecture as transnational crime and irregular migration become more sophisticated. IOM Nigeria Chief of Mission, Dimanchi Sharon, commended NIS for adopting digital tools such as the Migration Information and Data Analysis System (MIDAS) and e-border solutions. He noted that these technologies have positioned Nigeria as a regional leader in data-driven border governance. Sharon emphasized that strengthened cooperation will help address gaps in surveillance, identity management, and interagency coordination. The two-day strategy session reviewed existing interventions and identified new priority areas for the next phase of partnership. Participants discussed resource needs, infrastructure upgrades, and cross-border collaboration with neighboring countries. The meeting concluded with a shared commitment to enhancing Nigeria's leadership in West and Central Africa's migration systems, ensuring safer and more predictable mobility pathways. The Lagos State government has commenced the installation of modern rigid concrete floating pontoons across key charters as part of a major upgrade of the state's water transportation network. Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development Dayo Bush Alebiosu announced that the new pontoons are already being deployed at Agboyiketu, Ijegwegba, and Abayeko in Ikorodu. He explained that the concrete platforms are designed to eliminate the instability that passengers often experience with traditional metal jatters. Ali Bioshu emphasized that installation is a critical step in improving safety, accessibility, and commuter confidence in Lagos's inland waterways. He said several additional jatters, including Ebutero, Maitu, and Napa, have been earmarked for similar upgrades in the coming months. According to him, the state is committed to creating a water transport system that matches global standards and supports the mobility needs of Nigeria's largest urban center. The upgrades are from part of the 410 million euros Omieko project, a comprehensive water transport reform program jointly funded by the French Development Agency (AFD), the European Investment Bank (EIB), and the European Union. The project includes the introduction of 78 electric ferries, dredging of 15 water routes, expansion of 25 terminals, and deployment of an integrated digital ticketing system using the Cowrie card. The initiative is scheduled for full implementation between 2024 and 2030. The government said the reforms will reduce pressure on Lagos roads, cut greenhouse emissions, and support climate resilience through the adoption of electric vehicles and eco-friendly infrastructure. Ali Bioshu added that water transport would increasingly become central to Governor Sanwo-Olu's intermodal transport plan, ensuring that ferries, buses, and trains operate as the seamless mobility network. The Imo State Police Command has clarified reports of a disturbance at the Ebu 132/33 kV transmission substation in Owerri, dismissing earlier claims of abduction or hostage taking. Police Public Relations Officer DSP Henry Okoye said investigations showed that incident stemmed from an operational disagreement between the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company (EEDC) and the Orashi Electricity Distribution Company. He noted that no staff of the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) or the Nigerian Independent System Operator (NISO) was adopted. The clarification followed widespread alarm after NISO earlier alleged that its personnel were held at gunpoint by intruders, forcing them to initiate an illegal outage. The operator claimed some staff were unaccounted for and warned that it might disconnect all transmission substations within Owerri if their safety was not guaranteed. The conflicting accounts generated public concern, prompting calls for a thorough investigation. Commissioner of Police, CP Aboki Danjuma, has now ordered the State Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, to conduct a full-scale probe to establish what transpired. The police saying the investigation will help prevent similar disruptions and ensure accountability among parties involved. Danjuma reiterated the command's commitment to safeguarding critical power infrastructure and protecting workers at transmission facilities. Authorities are urging members of the public and stakeholders in the power sector to avoid spreading unverified information that could incite panic or undermine national grid stability. The police command also emphasized that security measures have been strengthened around power installations in the state. The outcome of the investigation is expected to clarify whether the dispute was operational, criminal, or a mix of both. The Sokoto state government has confirmed 8 cases of dengue fever in the metropolis, prompting heightened public health surveillance across hospitals and clinics. The Ministry of Health urged medical personnel to be alert to patients presenting with a severe malaria-like syndrome, especially when malaria tests are negative or treatment proves ineffective. Health Commissioner Farouk Abubakar cautioned clinicians against administering NSAIDs such as ibuprofen and aspirin due to the increased risk of bleeding in dengue patients. The commissioner noted that the state had activated its emergency response system to prevent further spread of the mosquito-borne virus. Health facilities have been directed to immediately notify disease surveillance officers of suspected cases in line with national guidelines. Abubakar stressed that early detection is crucial to reducing complications and preventing death, especially in vulnerable groups like children and the elderly. Communities were also advised to intensify efforts to eliminate stagnant water and breeding sites for Aedes mosquitoes, the primary carriers of the virus. Public health officers have been deployed to support environmental sanitation programs, and residents are urged to use insecticide-treated nets and repellents. The ministry emphasized that behavioral and environmental control measures remain the most effective ways to curb transmission. The outbreak follows a strange illness reported earlier in April, which involved children presenting with severe abdominal symptoms and triggered an NCDC investigation. While that episode was resolved, health authorities say the latest alert reinforces the need for consistent vigilance as dengue fever reemerges in several Nigerian states. The government is working closely with federal agencies to ensure rapid testing and adequate case management. The fourth Enugu Catholic Diocesan Synod has officially opened at Holy Ghost Cathedral, drawing political leaders, clergy, and lay faithful to discuss the life, mission, and growth of the Church in the diocese. The Apostolic Nuncio in Nigeria, His Grace Most Reverend Francis Michael Proti, declared the Synod open, highlighting its importance to both the local church and the universal Catholic community. In his welcome address, the Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Most Reverend Callistus Onaga, explained that the week-long synod, running from November 16 to 22, will address emerging challenges and deepen the spiritual life of the faithful. He described a synod as an ecclesiastical assembly where a bishop seeks counsel on matters of faith, morals, discipline, and mission. Bishop Onaga traced the history of the diocese, recalling that the first Enugu Diocesan Synod was convened in the late by the late Bishop Michael Enaja in 1983. He listed critical issues for deliberation, including social media and artificial intelligence, youth empowerment, burial practices, and the long-standing Osu and Oho caste concerns, expressing hope for lasting solutions. Chairman of the Synod Planning Committee, Very Reverend Father Professor Christian Aneke, noted that the Fourth Synod was convened after prayer reflection and broad consultations 10 years after the Third Synod. The gathering aims to open new doors of hope for the Church's mission while examining rapid social changes affecting faith and practice. Presentations are focused on holistic education, responsible use of digital technology, and priestly formation. Dignitaries at the event included the Catholic Bishop of Ekulobia Diocese, Cardinal Peter Obareke, former Deputy Governor of Enugu State, Mrs. Cecilia Ezilo, seminarians, members of consecrated life, knights and ladies, and delegates from other Christian denominations. The synod is expected to strengthen faith, promote unity, and enhance the Church's mission in the years ahead. And this news broadcast is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, a quick reminder of major developments in the news. Top officials stress urgent need for peace and security across Nigeria. Federal workers demand immediate payment of 35,000 naira wage award arrears. Sokoto State confirms dengue fever outbreak. Coming up shortly on the foreign scene, Mexico youth protest demand action on crime. Britain announces major asylum reform. Japan attempts to de-escalate Taiwan role in China. Please stay with us. All right, we'll give you the rest of the news. And on the foreign scene, at least 12 people have died and 10 others injured following a devastating bus crash in Semiatog, central Ecuador. The country's disaster agency confirmed the fatalities after the bus, which was traveling an interprovincial route between Semiatog and Ambato, veered off course on Sunday. Emergency teams arrived at the scene to recover bodies, treat survivors, and secure the crash site as investigations began. The Attorney General's office also confirmed the toll, describing the incident as one of the most severe transportation accidents in the region in recent months. Authorities say forensic examinations and mechanical assessment of the bus will help determine the cause of the crash. Initial reports suggest a possible combination of driver fatigue, overspeeding, or mechanical failure. The tragedy has shocked residents of the Central Highland communities, where interprovincial travel is a daily necessity due to limited alternative transport options. Families of the victims gathered at hospitals and municipal offices seeking information as officials coordinated identification and support services. Local authorities have pledged to provide emergency assistance to affected families. Thousands of demonstrators, including a new youth-led movement known as Generation Z Mexico, marched across major cities to protest rising violence and corruption following the murder of an anti-crime mayor. Protesters say they are fed up with increasing insecurity, accusing authorities of failing to protect citizens or address powerful criminal networks. The protests reflect intensifying frustration among young Mexicans who feel the government has not offered meaningful solutions. In Mexico City, the demonstrations escalated into violent clashes near the National Palace, where hooded protesters dismantled barricades and confronted police. Riot officers responded with tear gas after the crowd surged toward government buildings. Authorities confirmed that at least 100 police officers and 20 civilians sustained injuries, with 40 officers hospitalized due to the severity of the confrontation. Protesters directed their anger at the ruling Morena party, chanting anti-government slogans and demanding accountability. They accused the administration of President Claudia of downplaying the security crisis while criminal groups expand their influence. The youth-led movement insists that the government must institute immediate reforms to rebuild public trust and ensure safety across states affected by cartel violence. Still on the foreign scene, Britain's Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood is defending sweeping new asylum reforms. arguing that irregular migration is threatening national cohesion and requires a decisive response. The proposal is expected to be formally presented in Parliament to draw heavily from Denmark's strict immigration model. They aim to reduce incentives for migrants arriving illegally via small boats crossing the English Channel, an issue that has placed pressures on Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government. A major component of the reform is a drastic reduction in the right granted to successful asylum seekers. Instead of receiving 5 years of residency before applying for indefinite leave, refugees would be granted only 30 months of temporary protection subject to periodic review. They would also be required to wait 20 years before becoming eligible for permanent residency, a significant departure from current policy. The government also plans to introduce new safe and legal routes for refugees through limited work and study visas while tightening access to public benefits. Under the proposal, asylum seekers would no longer be automatically entitled to housing or weekly allowances. Support will become discretionary, enabling the government to deny benefits to individuals deemed capable of supporting themselves or those convicted of crimes. Japan is attempting to defuse growing diplomatic tension with China following remarks by the new Prime Minister Shinei Takaichi, suggesting that a Chinese attack on Taiwan could prompt a Japanese military response. Beijing reacted sharply, issuing a travel advisory urging its citizens to avoid Japan and summoning the Japanese ambassador to protest. The comments have reignited long-standing sensitivities surrounding Taiwan and regional security. In response to the escalating role, a senior Japanese foreign ministry official, Masaki Kanai, is expected to travel to Beijing to meet his counterpart, Liu Jinsong. Kanai will reportedly clarify that Tokyo's security policy remains unchanged and that the Prime Minister's remarks were not intended as a direct threat. Japan's chief cabinet secretary has also criticized China's travel warning, saying it contradicts efforts to maintain a stable, mutually beneficial relationship. The diplomatic fallout has already had economic repercussions, with shares of tourism and retail companies in Japan dropping over fears of reduced Chinese tourism. Analysts warn that the situation could mirror the 2012 territorial dispute, which triggered a significant decline in bilateral trade and tourism. Business leaders are urging both governments to avoid actions that might further damage economic cooperation. Plateau State Governor Caleb Manasseh Mufwang has launched a 50 to 100 kilowatt solar mini grid in Namu, Kwan, Pan local government area as part of efforts to expand rural electrification and stimulate local economies. The project, executed by the Rural Electrification Agency (REA) with support from the UNDP and GEF, aims to provide reliable power to underserved communities. Governor Mufwang described the initiative as a milestone in improving livelihoods and boosting rural productivity. The governor said clean and consistent power supply would help drive agro-allied industries and enable businesses to thrive in remote areas. He added that the mini-grid project is the first of several interventions planned for Kwanpan, which also include improved roads and enhanced water infrastructure. Mufwang urged community members, especially the youth, to protect the facility from vandalism and utilize it for productive ventures. Nigerian economic experts are urging citizens and entrepreneurs to view the country's economic challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. Speaking at the 2025 National Convention of the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic Muslim Alumni NAPAMA, NESG chairman Ni Yusuf said uncertainty often presents the best environment for innovation. He warned that waiting for perfect conditions to invest or start businesses is a strategic mistake. Yusuf highlighted examples from global disruptions such as the COVID-19 pandemic, when companies like Zoom transformed adversity into unprecedented success. He noted that despite Nigeria's current inflation, currency pressures, and policy changes, many businesses continue to thrive by identifying unmet needs and responding creatively. According to him, resilience and adaptability remain essential traits for long-term success. Complementing this view, Ahmed Popola, Managing Director of Credit Bureau Limited, emphasized the importance of maintaining ethical business practices during tough times. He cautioned entrepreneurs against dishonest shortcuts, stressing that enterprises founded on integrity tend to attract loyal customers and sustainable profits. Popola said transparency, accurate reporting, and fair dealings are indispensable in building brands that endure. In sport, Nigeria's quest to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup came to a heartbreaking end following a 4-3 penalty shootout loss to DR Congo in Rabat, Morocco. The match, which served as the final African playoff, saw the Super Eagles struggle to convert key chances despite dominating possession in several phases. The game ended without a decisive win at regulation time, forcing both teams into a tense penalty contest. The shootout proved agonizing for Nigerian fans as missed opportunities handed DR Congo the advantage. Analysts say the defeat highlights issues in the team's attacking consistency and composure under pressure. Several players were visibly distraught, knowing that the loss denied Nigeria place at what would have been its seventh World Cup appearance. This outcome has sparked conversations around the future of the national team's technical setup, squad depth and tactical approach. Critics argue that Nigeria must prioritize early preparation, effective squad rotation, and improved mental resilience in high-stakes matches. Supporters, meanwhile, expressed disappointment, noting that expectations were high after recent improvements in squad performances. The Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has yet to issue a comprehensive statement on the next steps, but officials say a view of the World Cup qualifying campaign is expected. The Federation is also under pressure to restructure coaching personnel and strengthen talent development pipelines. The defeat marks one of the team's most painful eliminations in recent years. Still in sports, Nigerian football is celebrating strong representation in the final shortlist for the 2025 CAF Player of the Year awards. Victor Osimhen, currently with Galatasaray, has made the top three alongside Mohamed Salah and Achraf Hakimi. In the men's category, Osimhen's nomination follows an outstanding year in club and national team performances, reinforcing his status as one of Africa's elite strikers. In the women's category, Super Falcons star Rashidat Ajibade of Paris Saint-Germain is shortlisted with Morocco's Ghislaine Chebak and Sana Moussoudi. Ajibade's leadership in Nigeria's 10th WAFCON triumph has earned widespread recognition. Her consistency for both club and country has made her one of Africa's most influential female footballers. And in entertainment, Nigerian musician Red cousin to Afrobeat star Davido reportedly surprised popular comedian Trinity Guy with a cash gift of 10 million naira during a promotional event in Ibadan. A viral video showed the visibly emotional comedian rolling on the floor and expressing gratitude for receiving the money. He credited the gesture to Red and the 30 BG crew, calling it a life-changing moment. Trinity Guy, who recently met Davido backstage during the show, described the encounter as a breakthrough that opened new opportunities. He appealed to fans to stream Red's new track, Bend Down, Select, as appreciation for the artist's generosity. The video has generated widespread engagement across social media platforms. And that's all on Around the Globe on Aneke TV. Before we end Round the Globe, here are the main points. Top officials stress urgent need for peace and security across Nigeria. Federal workers demand immediate payment of 35,000 naira wage award arrears. Sokoto State confirms dengue fever outbreak. Japan attempts to de-escalate Taiwan row with China. And that's your Aneke TV news at 9 a.m. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. On behalf of the producer, Chidima Sogwa, I am Amaka Nnechi. Thank you for joining us.
Sex is sacred, not shameful. In its truest form, it is more than the body. It is soul speaking to soul, fire woven with trust, vulnerability clothed in consent. But when misused, it breaks more than bodies, it fractures spirits. That is why it must be approached with reverence, not recklessness. Let us teach to love before lust, connection before conquest. For when sex is honored, it becomes not just pleasure, but poetry.
The Enugu State Local Government Service Commission has completed a 10-day digital literacy training for staff in Enugu West Zone to boost efficiency and productivity in line with Governor Peter Mbah's modernization agenda. Chairman of the Commission, Honorable Nana Obodo, commended the governor for driving the digital transformation of the service and promised to reward outstanding participants while sustaining continuous training.
And then he began to teach the state government workers on how to transit from analog to digital. And then he said, don't leave the local government workers out of it. That is the reason why you people are here.
Special Assistant to the Governor on Digital Economy and MSMEs, Honorable Ndubisi Ede, expressed delight over the participants' performance, describing the initiative as a major step towards bridging digital gaps in the system.
And we took our time, we held them by their hands, because you know, many of them, when they were born, there was no computer. So there were no Gen Zs. But after 10 days, there are Gen Zs now.
Members of the commission, Peter Nnaji, Amaka Nweke, Bat Ezugu, and Florence Ibozi, praised Governor Mbah's commitment to workers' welfare and the chairman's efforts in repositioning the service.
We're trying to bring up them to measure up with today's innovation. That's why we deem it fit to organize this training with the help of the chairman of the commission and the governor's vision in enhancing and adding value to the system.
And I want to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency for giving them the privilege to be part of what is happening at the state level, and also to our chairman for also queuing in to the system that is being operated at the state level. So on behalf of the commission, we are very, very happy for all His Excellency has done for the local government staff of Enugu State.
The governor since inception has actually taken a very considerable decisions concerning our local government staff. He has brought up their welfare. He has checked the minimum wage. He has raised it up from 30,000 to 80,000, and he's been trying to enhance their welfare so that they will feel better in their work.
To thank the governor for giving us the opportunity to do this. It's not our own initiative, but his own initiative, and we thank God that everything worked out successfully.
The training officer, Mrs. Mbejo Fochinwe Roslyn, and some participants, including Anibu Ogechukwu and Comrade Samuel Okeke, described the program as impactful and timely.
The training exercise, the activities really impacted on the lives of the participants. And I really want to appreciate the governor of Enugu State, His Excellency, Dr. Peter Mbah, for giving the local government staff the platform to excel.
I learned a lot of things. I thank God for our governor. He really did well for providing this opportunity for us to learn. Like somebody like me, I don't know much about computer, but this platform now made me to know at least some primary aspects of computer.
The training was so successful. I love this training because somebody like me have not even have a time or have an opportunity to touch a computer. But I love to touch the computer, but I don't have the opportunity. But this training exposed me in many ways in Excel, Microsoft Word and Micro PowerPoint. to enable me to understand what I'm supposed to know them before now. So I'm so much happy about the training. So the training was okay and fantastic.
The exercise ended with a group photograph marking the successful conclusion of the digital literacy training. Chidemi Kemede, Aneke TV. 1 Timothy 6 verse 10 reminds us, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. By craving it, some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows." The so-called instant wealth mentality.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, 042, and a beautiful morning to everyone watching. You're tuned into Sunrise on Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with cheer and that special sunrise vibe to help you start today. And we are right here in our studio in Enugu State.
Good morning to your global audience. I'm Uche Osai. Debbie, how are you this morning?
I am fine.
It's been a wonderful weekend, right? You're glowing.
Well, there was no really weekend. Let's just say there was a Sunday.
There was a Sunday,
Yeah.
and you rested enough.
Yeah, I rested enough.
Good to hear.
Thank you very much.
So wherever you are, at your desk, in traffic, or even making breakfast, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, it's Monday, 17th November 2025, and of course it's another new week and another edition of Sunrise. So today we've got a power-packed morning with your latest news, trending stories, and that special Sunrise vibe to help you kickstart your day.
So, grab that cup of coffee or tea, relax, enjoy the cruise, because the sunrise is set sail.
Yes, and coming up shortly, we'll start things off with our quotes of the day, with words that are inspiring, words that are thoughtful, to offer insight in whatever we do to help us stay well-driven and also stay focused.
Then it's straight into the day's top headlines. All the key updates you need to remain informed will be shared hot and tasty.
Right, and then after that we've got your full weather report covering cities in the southeast, so you know what to expect before heading out, or if you've already headed out, to remain through the day.
And later we'll wrap things up with the day celebration observance to keep you smiling and lift your spirit.
Okay, now we're going over to our morning inspiration segment. Now this morning we'll be reflecting on a piece of timeless wisdom from Chinua Achebe, the one that speaks directly to success, gratitude, and character. And in his quote he says, "Those whose palm kernel are cracked for them by the gods should not forget to be humble." I'm going to say that again. It says, "Those whose palm kernel are cracked for them by the gods should not forget to be humble." Now this proverbs reminds us that not all achievements come solely from our own efforts. That sometimes life's open doors for us through opportunities, luck, support from others, or divine favor. When our palm kernels are cracked for us, it means certain burdens have been lifted and certain struggles have been eased. I'm going to take that line again where I said that the proverbs is reminding of about achievements, that its achievements does not come from only our efforts. Now, this quote by Chinua Achebe that says, "Those whose palm kernel are cracked for them by the gods should not forget to be humble." Now, the gods here simply means people around us, people that are surrounding us. Because in the world today, we do what is called recommendation. We do what is called like to know people. Now, for you to be in a certain position, it depends on your character. Actually, it depends on your character, what you can give, and now you're being recognized by others, and they recommend you for certain things now. So the gods here cracking your canals for you means people that are surrounding you, people that are trying to like have opportunities, and then they recommend you for that certain opportunity. Now it's saying like if your canals, as if those opportunities are being given to you, if you're put in a certain position, that you should not forget to be humble. Do not say because you have it all, you become proud, you become pompous, and at the end of the day you find out between a twinkling of an eye that thing would be, before you know it, is already removed from your hands. Now this is what I can say that Chinua Achebe's quote is trying to tell us about those whose sperm canal are cracked for them by the gods should not forget to be humble. And also Achebe also is trying to warn us that when life treats you kindly, that you should remember humility, that you should be humble. Don't let pride, don't let arrogance, don't let pride and arrogance mislead you. Don't allow it to be your forefront. Instead, be humble, because there's something that there's this saying like I don't know if you can remind me about when the proud falls. So it has to do with a proud person falling
Okay,
down.
when pride goes first, then
proud goes before a fall. Pride
yeah.
goes before a fall. Yes. Now, so Achebe's quote is trying to remind us to always stay humble, no matter where you find yourself, no matter the position you find yourself. And Mr. Chow, I would like to know your thoughts on this quote.
All right. As always, Achebe is always very apt,
Yeah.
Bringing that traditional vibe into his writing, using the traditional wisdom to embellish all his writing. And then there's in Things Fall Apart, I think that's where he used this quote to embellish an admonition from an elder person to Okonkwo. But looking at the quote, as it said, those whose sperm canal are cracked for them by the gods should not forget to be humble. And if I may say, those who have their sperm canal cracked for them by benevolent spirits, should not forget to be humble. And then I want to speak to the symbolism in this very quote, talking about palm kernel. Palm kernel is a very hard nut to crack. And now, Achebe is trying to use this palm kernel, which is very hard in nature and is difficult to crack. If you have yours cracked for you by a benevolent spirit, you should not be proud.
Yeah.
Remember to be humble. You should not be arrogant because yours has been cracked. And speaking to these facts, when you relate it to the real life, there are those of us who are fortunate enough to have things go for them easily.
Yeah.
Like you did point out, bringing it to, let's say, when you graduate from a university, there are millions of persons out there who are looking for a job. And then you're lucky, either perhaps, like you said, either through contact or connection by divine providence or the other, you find yourself, you get a job instantly. That shouldn't get to your head.
Yeah.
You should remain humble. Don't think that you are smarter than your peers or because you're more intelligent than others. It shouldn't get to your head. But see it as a privilege, because you are one of those Achebe talked about whose sperm canal has been cracked by a benevolent spirit. So you should remain down to earth, remain humble. And then, speaking to that, you should not be, you should run away from the danger of arrogance, because you see, in our time, humanity and human being is such that when we begin to make progress, we tend to forget where we're coming from, and then it begins to get into our head, our behavior, our arrogance, you understand, the way we carry ourselves. And Chinua Achebe, through this quote, is letting us know the danger, of arrogance, that despite the success that we've made, you understand, we should not carry on with the hubris of arrogance. That means no matter the level, stay down to earth. You may be lucky, it may be luck playing out, it may be privilege, whatever it is. Have this attitude of gratitude wherever you find yourself. Carry people along. Do not treat people as if they do not matter. Irrespective of your achievements, irrespective of your experience, carry people along. Remain true to type. Most importantly, remain down to earth, remain humble. And like you did point, by morning, you may be so successful, and then by evening you never know what happens. And like you did, you were trading that part. And I remember that quote, it could be the man that you met on your way down, that you meet when you meet on your way up, that you meet on your way down. Today you can be the Alpha and Omega, but by evening, this other person that you look down on is now the Omega. And if you've treated such an individual poorly, then what becomes of you? We've seen situations where tables turn around. You understand? In the military, we've seen where perhaps RSM, that was carrying out vindictive order against maybe a personnel, and you see such a personnel at the end of the day being promoted ahead of the RSM, for example, and then he now has to salute your son, a young officer, and take order from this young officer. What am I trying to say? Table could turn around. But if you remain down to earth, polish, having the attitude of gratefulness, being imbued with gratitude, staying down to earth, humility, doing away with arrogance, you won't find yourself in such very uncomfortable zone. You understand? No matter how the table turns, people will remember that when you were successful, that you were approachable, that your nature never changed, that you treated humanity very well. And people, you expect that, yes, people will remember and they will treat you accordingly. So Chinua Achebe was or is up to point as always. Whenever you read Achebe, you can only be excited for the wisdom of our forefathers, the wisdom in our culture. You understand how it is imbued. Just look at that symbolism of using the palm kernel, which is a very hard nut, right? And then having a benevolent spirit crack your own. You understand? So I don't know, you can't finish explaining the depth of this very wisdom. You understand? But however, whichever way, wherever you find yourself, and you see that a benevolent spirit have cracked yours, have made life easier for you, you do not need to look less of others. There's this penchant for successful people to think that because they are successful, that others are not putting enough effort. It's not. And if life is by effort, like they say, the barrow pushers, the job men in the market would be richer than everybody else because they use enough of strength, enough of energy. But some of us who don't even put as much energy as they do, yet we keep moving up higher the ladder. So, like Achebe has admonished, while we take up our social responsibility, let's remain humble, eschew arrogance, and remember that it could be luck playing out. Because at times, you may not know anybody. You understand that you feel that, because you wrote up 2 tests, because you're sagacious in business, that's why you're traveling. Yes, that you go to China, before your goods return to Nigeria, the price of dollar has gone up, and then you made triple profit on what you were supposed to make, and you see yourself as being business savvy more than other persons. But do remember that there could be a benevolent God somewhere who is smiling to your favor, making it possible. Doesn't mean you should look down on other persons. And for me, this is quite apt, and this is wisdom shared, and every wise person should listen to Achebe in this very quote.
Yeah, as you're saying it now, I remember this story in the Bible that says about the rich man that finished working, and at the end he said, after he has gathered everything, all the wealth, everything, then he said, tonight my soul will rest, as in like he was going to enjoy, and at that night he could not wake up to see the next day.
Okay, so
now this is
what happens to that weight?
This is
but that's another angle to it. What now happens to that weight? It could be the people you despised, the people you treated unfairly.
It might not be the people you treated unfairly. Maybe that is the very day you're supposed to go and meet answer the call, go and meet your master, or go back
but
to
when you go to meet
from.
your master, like you did say, he said, it's time for me to rest and begin to enjoy perhaps days of labor. You understand? Now he's gone. So what I'm trying to say, at the end of the day, it could be people around who didn't know how you labor. People who didn't know how you labor to make this wealth, acquire this wealth. Perhaps the people you look down on as being lazy, they will be the one calling shots. And it happens in our time. You see where the abandoned child, the discarded, the unwanted son, at the demise of the patriarch of a family, you see that abandoned or wanted son rising up. Yes, he's the one rising up to hold the empire together, calling the shots. It happens.
Yes, it's true. Thank you very much. Well, for this quote coming from Achebe that says, those whose palm kernel are cracked for them by the God should not forget to be humble. Now I'd like to leave this message with you where it says success is sweetest when it doesn't make us arrogant, and our blessings are safest when we don't forget their sources, or also that progress remains meaningful when we carry others along. So you find out that if you're being humble, if you don't forget the little days of your humble beginning. Yes, if you don't forget those days and keep on being humble, no matter what, people, you will find yourself like it's it's what lasts. Should I say it's what lasts in everything we do. So let's try today to be humble, and as we go about our day to day, whether we're enjoying good fortune or we're enjoying new opportunities or simply having a smooth path, let us walk with integrity in our hearts. Let's walk with humility in our lives, that everything we should do not be proud, even though you know more than others. At least try teaching others in what you're good at. In that way, you find and you carry everybody along, and then everything is peaceful both for you and the other person. Okay, now please do not forget this quote that says from Chinua Achebe, that says, "Those whose palm kernel are cracked for them by the gods should not forget to be humble." And also let us know what this quote means to you. You can drop your thoughts on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, all at Aneke TV, or call our phone number 070-3043-7110. And also remember that each new sunrise is an opportunity for us to grow, to try something new, or simply be more present in whatever we do. We'll go on a short break, and up next will be the weather report.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. On Aneke TV, let's take a look at the weather reports across major cities in the southeast today.
Yes, and we're starting off with Oka. In Oka, expect a warm and partly sunny day. Some morning showers may pop up in places, but the sky should clear out as the day goes on. Temperatures will hover around 32 degrees Celsius high and dip to about 20 degrees Celsius at night.
And over to Enugu. Good morning, Coast City. The clouds will give way to sunshine. Partly sunny skies for most of the day. It's going to feel hot and humid, with a high near 35 degrees Celsius, and evening will cool to 21 degrees Celsius.
Yes, and in Abakaliki, after a cloudy start, the sun will make a strong comeback. Daytime highs will reach about 34 degrees Celsius, and by night it will settle around 22 degrees Celsius.
And over to the state of Imo. Good morning, Owerri. Look out for morning rain showers here and there, but later on, expect variable clouds. The mercury will climb to approximately 34 degrees Celsius and dip back to 22 degrees Celsius come night.
And lastly, in Umahia, just like Owerri, morning showers could make an appearance, but don't worry, skies will brighten later and the temperature will warm up to about 34 degrees Celsius, cooling slightly to 21 degrees Celsius at night.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, dress light, keep your umbrella handy, but do remember, rain or shine, we've got you covered. And this is your weather report on Sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll go on a short break and we'll be right back with more updates. The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
On Aneke TV. Now let's take a look at what's happened on front page news headline today in The Nation, Punch, Vanguard and Guardian newspaper.
And joining us to analyze and x-ray the issues with the headlines this morning is our guest Chris Anibogo. Mr. Chris.
Mr. Uche.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Happy New Week.
Yes, especially after the weekend. I suppose you had a joyful weekend.
A friend said his weekend was stressful, so I will check to see how mine
went.
But
yours is not stressful.
It was pleasant. It was
you're looking like you rested over the weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank
now,
you.
The Nation headline, it reads, Tinubu targets interfaith, inter-ethnic truce in Plateau. And on the Punch headline says, U.S. Congress begins full-scale probe into Nigerian killings. And on the Vanguard headline says, manufacturers shown bank loans over high interest rates. And the Guardian headline also reads, 2026 budget delays spark fiscal spending concern uncertainty. And we'll be starting out today's paper from the Vanguard headline that says, manufacturer shown bank loans over high interest rates. Now, major manufacturers in Nigeria are cutting back on borrowing from banks, citing prohibitively high interest rates. Their bank debts dropped significantly, and many are turning to alternatives like corporate bonds, equity, and retained earnings. This has also helped reduce their financing costs, although input inflation remains a concern. Mr. Uche, I'd like to know your thoughts on this headline.
All right. In Nigeria presently, no matter the headline we're seeing there, we will not take away the fact that the economy is gradually readjusting and then the new price level as well. However, the most important thing here is that the manufacturing sector is beginning to take leadership in positive developments in the economy. However, yes, we must speak to the issue of high interest rates in Nigeria, which has beginning to diminish the appetite of manufacturers and borrowers in Nigeria, and that may not be very good for the Nigerian economy. However, Mr. Chris,
yes, brother,
we are speaking credit this morning. Manufacturing, which is the core basis of any economy, and we have been told this morning that they are shying away from, approaching the financial institutions for more loans and all that.
Honestly speaking, it's worrisome. It's worrisome because no economy of any nation will thrive without the gradual development and thriving of small, medium-scale enterprises. MSMEs is the largest contributor to any national economy growth all across the globe. So if here we are, we investors to come invest in our client, and we're not being serious with what we do with our local manufacturers, then what it simply means is that the much touted made in Nigeria, support made in Nigerian goods and products is actually just a theory. It's merely an academic exercise. So I think we need to get serious. Yes, I heard you say the economy is gradually, yes, of course, but the economy needs to do better. And the only way it can do better is when we begin to look inwards and begin to develop homegrown products, homegrown, manufacturing, production, because we can't keep importing everything we make use of in this country of ours. Of every 15 ships that comes into Nigeria with imported goods, not one of those ships returns to wherever they are coming from with any, goods produced in Nigeria on export. It's a shameful thing. So we need to begin to encourage indigenous manufacturing, indigenous production, so that we could also start exporting. But before we do export, we need to be able to satisfy the local needs of the people. Also, I don't know the last time you checked the automobile industry in Nigeria. Look at the textile industry. The last time Asaba Textile Mill got shut down, it has not rebounded again. We just don't have production capacity. This is where they're in the past. All of a sudden they went into comatose. Why are the banks not lending to our manufacturers and producers in Nigeria? Why is the interest rate so high? So we expect the CBN to please step up the game, step into the gap, and see how they're able to adjust these things. Our producers and manufacturers need to be able to access credit from our local banks on a very, very comfortable rate. Because if I'm a producer and manufacturer, and you're expecting to come collect loan from the bank, and at the end of the day, I know I'm not going to meet up, look at the economic factors on the ground. If you are going to be a manufacturer or a producer in Nigeria, you're going to have a backup plan on electricity, on power, because this one here is not steady. The other alternative now is that people are tilting towards the use of solar-powered energy and power. But then it's very costly as well. What are other factors of production here that is not making production and manufacturing very, very smooth? There are times we hear governments begin to talk about ease of doing business in their various states. But how smooth is doing business by the private sector in so many states? We talk about taxation, the high rate of taxation, multiple taxation. These things kill business. It kills production. It kills manufacturing. So the CBN, the federal government, should please get it right this time with the economy. We need to promote local production, local manufacturing. We need to encourage our small, medium-scale enterprises to begin to boom. Because I don't think there's any other employer of labor that is greater or larger than the SMEs. They even employ more than even the government can employ. So we need to make business to thrive. Apart from win foreign investors, we understand all of those things. But let's make economy and business suitable and comfortable for our indigenous production.
All right, very well said. Debbie, up to the next paper, please.
All right, to our next headline. Coming from the Punch paper that says, U.S. Congress begins full-scale probe into Nigeria's killings. Now the Punch headline reads, There are reports that the United States Congress has launched a major investigation into a surge of killing in Nigeria, especially linked to allegations of violence against Christians. And the Nigerian government, however, firmly rejects claims of mass religious persecution, pushing back on what it calls exaggerated or mischaracterized narratives.
All right. At the end of the day, it seems that diplomacy is actually working, that now we're no longer talking about the immediate putting boots on ground in Nigeria, or what many expected, the invasion of the country by the United States Army has been provoked by the President of the United States. But kudos to our government, in the sense that they've told us that they are deploying and employing diplomatic channels, to engage the government of the United States. And now we are seeing a probe in the United States House, where they are beginning to, want to look into the real issues in Nigeria. Like we maintain, Nigeria is a very complex society, and giving the religious colorations to the killings in Nigeria may be, one-sided story. It needs to be balanced. The question we'll keep asking, are human beings being killed in Nigeria? Yes. These human beings, are they Christians? The answer is yes. These same human beings, are they Muslims? The answer is yes. The very human beings we are talking about, are some of them not Christians and not Muslims? The answer is yes. The obvious underlying factor, or the unifying factor here, is that yes, Nigerians are being killed in Nigeria, and whoever is speaking to these killings, should take into account the complex nature of the Nigerian society. So we may be excited that is no longer, very harsh and serious arguments on whether Christians are being killed or not. But we are seeing the deployment of, logic, debate, diplomacy into these very issues. But at the end of the day, what we would hope and we expect is that US, being the allies of Nigeria, would equally, listen to the Nigerian government, take the plight of Nigeria into account, and as our natural allies, align with us to see that the bandits, the terrorists are totally decimated, and not give it a religious coloration, which would divide the Nigerian people the more. Mr. Chris.
Yes, brother.
The headline this morning, we're seeing debates. It's no longer bombs coming to fly over us and putting boots on ground. You've seen a lot of comic reliefs to this effect. I know I watched one, seeing somebody tell Mr. Trump that this route, this is Auchi, and the other route is Bauchi. There are a whole lot of things coming out from this. So let's get your perspective on this headline this morning.
Well, allow me to laugh a bit there, because Nigerians...
no, you deserve to laugh. You have the right to laugh, because in Nigeria we'll turn everything into comic.
I am telling you, we just have the way of trying to make everything become a comic relief in this country anyway. Yes, Auchi is different from Bauchi.
Yes.
Well, just the other day also, I saw on the social media a video, though it's an AI produced video, where we saw some US their military boys, working on Nigeria's map, and somebody said, don't look downwards. I don't know where he or she belongs to on the map. But I said, don't look down, look upward, look upwards. You understand?
So perhaps when you're coming, you should pass my father's house.
Well, I know that the threat by Donald Trump wasn't necessarily that he was coming to invade Nigeria or against Nigeria. I know that his position was the fact that Christians were being killed in Nigeria. And the facts have been able to establish the fact that, yes, of course, Christians are being killed. But the other question again remains, is it only Christians that are being killed in Nigeria? The answer remains no. It's not just only Christians. We also see where mosques have been attacked, Muslims killed, even non-Christians and non-Muslims are also not left out, because we have a third religion in Nigeria, which is a major religion as well, the traditional religion. So not everyone killed is either a Christian or a Muslim. The bottom line, as you or Sai pointed out, is the fact that Nigerians are being killed. And what is the Nigerian government doing to curtail this rising insecurity that is bedeviling the country? It's actually a disappointing one to know that the government of the day just came in and is bedeviled with all this insecurity crisis. But much has not been done so far from the government side. The primary responsibility of every government is to secure the lives and property of our citizens. Protect your territory from external aggression, and secure your territory from internal insurrection. But here we see various calls of agitation. Our borders are so porous that these people begin to infiltrate from outside Nigeria, from Chad, from Cameroon, from Niger. We begin to see these jihadists begin to, and the question remains, what is their interest in Nigeria? They come from these other countries, infiltrating our border, infiltrating our territory. So what's the interest they have in Nigeria? But so if Donald Trump is concerned, well, he had just expressed his own opinion. He said he's coming to wipe them away. But good enough that our country, Nigeria, has been able to reach out, diplomatically enough to the U.S. And now the Congress, the U.S. Congress, have stepped up the matter to say, okay, we want to probe the killings in Nigeria. I know at the end of the day they are going to find it real that people have been killed.
Yeah.
So what our government should do now is reach out to them on appeal. On appeal, we need the assistance of the U.S. government. We need the assistance of even some other superpower nations of the world to come and assist us in combating this insecurity, because it seems the government is overwhelmed. For over a decade, for more than 10 years now, lives have been lost on a daily basis. Look at the recent one that happened. Even in the face of the Donald Trump threat, these guys are still not giving up. They are still attacking communities. They are still trying to wipe away people. You understand? So that before we become overrun by these persons, let this international community come to our aid. They should come and assist us. Apart from maybe supplying us with military weaponry and arsenal, we also need their presence here also to assist us with the use of technology. I don't know if Nigeria has, well, I don't know, I'm not a military inclined person. I don't know if we have drones here. If we don't, we need such things. We need such things here. So we need the assistance of the U.S., no doubt about it. I know the U.S., during the last administration of formerly President Muhammadu Buhari, offered to assist Nigeria fight insecurity. But surprisingly, our former president turned the offer down. Why he did that is still best known to him, not known to people like me and some other persons. So if the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government will reach out to the U.S. government and say, please, you're not coming to fight non-Christians. You're coming to fight the enemies of state of Nigeria. You understand? Just to protect our sovereignty and continue to protect our integrity before the international community. It's a welcomed one. They should do the probing. They should. But please, let's not discourage them from coming. We need them to come. Honestly speaking, we need that intervention. It is not interference, but it's intervention. We need the assistance as a matter of fact. And again, Osai, we should be worried about the fact that the president is talking about engaging the U.S. government diplomatically. Why don't we have our foreign missions in place for the past 2 years that this government came into office? We don't have ambassadors to any known country of the world. The president came into office in May 2023, and by September, he recalled all our foreign missions back home. And since September 2023, our embassies are not manned by professionals, by experts. People are not representing our interests diplomatically, externally. Countries like US, countries like Russia, countries like China, these are world prominent nations that we need to be engaging diplomatically, apart from what Donald Trump has done. There is a reason why there is the creation and establishment of foreign missions. Yes, of course, if not for anything, for trade relations. It makes it easier. So I want to appeal to Mr. President, please, get us ambassadors. Let our foreign missions return to their offices and begin to do the needful. I think if we had this in place, maybe things like this will not have even come in the first place from Donald Trump. So we need to fill in that vacuum.
All right. What you're saying is, in essence, that you support the U.S. military, the president of the United States deploying boots, putting boots on ground in Nigeria, or supporting Nigeria with the needed...
We need their support in all ramifications, yes, economically, militarily, and otherwise.
But a lot of analysts like you have argued that there's no place that the U.S. military has ventured into that remained the same. And for that reason, they felt that the right thing to do is to engage diplomatically and, as an ally, assist us with the needed equipment and financial muscle to decisively decimate these bandits.
Mr. Sai, that same U.S. has assisted us with some Tucano jets, fighter jets in the past, about 2 to 3 of them.
Okay.
We've not been able to use even one so far. You know what it means to have a Tucano fighter jet in your territory, in your hands, in your possession. And now they've given us up to 2 to 3. Under Goodluck Jonathan, they even became so corrupt with the whole process. There was a time it was rumored that money was found in one of the airports in South Africa. And it came from Nigerian government. And when they were asked, they said it was money they wanted to use to go and buy military equipment. So how did it find its way to South African airport? Corruption. So it's not just enough supplying equipment. I think we need the intervention of these military men. Osai, does Nigeria even have a satellite? A satellite. Are we even watching? Okay, in Enugu now, the governor has been able to establish this command and control center, placing Enugu environment on camera. Is Abuja on camera? Is Nigeria on camera? Are we even watching what is going on around us? We don't. So we need their presence because of technology. It's not enough to get the equipment from them. How are we going to operate these equipments? We need their presence here. There was a time a U.S. citizen was kidnapped here. He just took the military boys from U.S., come in, rescue him, even without the bandits knowing that their victim has been rescued. Smooth, clean operation. So we need them. I opine to the fact that we need them, not on invasion, but on intervention.
Okay.
We need their presence.
All right. Not to belittle the fact that we need to decimate these bandits and decimate them however any means possible. But the argument has been, Mr. Chris, that the U.S. have a command and control center called the AFRICOM, which is very close to us here in Ghana. And with that, they were able to come in, had a precision operation, rescue their national from Nigeria, and then left. We are saying, like you've rightly pointed out, with the assistance of AFRICOM, for example, the Nigerian military, which we've spoken very eloquently about, are very gallant, and with that level of assistance, we know that they can get the job done without the U.S. putting their boots on ground.
Well, I'll give it to our military boys. They are among the best anywhere, anytime in the world. The problem is just with the will, lack of will on the part of the leadership.
All right.
The government has not shown leadership when it comes to coordinating this. The problem is not with our boys now; it's with leadership.
All right.
It's with leadership, and sometimes some people even exercise the fear of U.S. coming in, invade. Maybe they are going to constitute regime change. But I don't think that's the interest of the U.S. now. Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his government need not entertain such fears of regime change happening. Some other persons are of the opinion that the U.S. comes in, they may now take over our natural resources. You don't even need the U.S. to come in before taking over your resources. They're already here taking over our resources.
Yes.
Look at our oil. How many of the United States companies are here drilling our natural crude oil from here? They are here. They've been here. So, but what we are saying is, whatever it's going to take, if we can get the military arsenal from U.S., especially their boots, deployed down there, we don't even need to make noise about it. We don't need to announce that they are here. It's just on a bilateral basis. They come, give our boys training, further training, assist them, lead them on. Lead them on.
All right. Very well spoken. But Chris, there's something I have to draw your attention to.
Go ahead, sir.
Despite this whole, let me not use the word noise, but this attention on the killings in Nigeria, the U.S. intervention, and everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you remember that nobody is talking about cutting off the financing of these terrorists? Up to this moment, nobody is talking about publishing the names of the sponsors of these bandits. And nobody is speaking to it.
And it's worrisome that nobody is actually speaking to it. The last time we checked, United Arab Emirates released the list of terrorist sponsors in Nigeria. Some of them were even caught and prosecuted. So they sent the list to Nigeria, and we expected the list to be published. But it has not happened.
So
Goodluck Jonathan, while he was in office, said that he's aware that some members of his government were sponsoring these terrorists. You know, the last time Goodluck left office, 2015. So what is going on? Why is there non-intentionality on the part of government to expose the financiers? It begins to point to one thing. Maybe there are just some interests we don't know around these things.
Okay.
We've seen in the past where government tried to pamper terrorists and bandits. We've seen where a president once announced that our border will be open to anyone who wants to come in, and we saw them influxing our territory. We've seen where the government came in and said, if you're a repentant Boko Haram member, you will be absorbed back into the community after killing and decimating people's lives, terrorizing people's homes and their sources of living. And then we absorb them back to society. Are you kidding me?
Absorb them into our military.
And absorb them into the military. Infiltrating our defense line. So, these are not just, what do you call them from the Niger Delta? These are not just militants. The militants were fighting for the resource control in their domain. They said the oil they are producing from their domain was not being used to develop their locality. Yeah. So they needed control. But when the government became intentional through Yaradua, he said, okay, we're going to give you amnesty and we're going to improve on what we do with development in the Niger Delta. And they surrendered their hand.
Chris, that's the carrot approach that we'll be talking about. And the carrot approach don't seem to work with these bandits.
These are bandits. Aside,
when you begin to negotiate with one group, you now see a different group resurfaces.
These are faceless individuals. You don't even know who they are.
We just need to decimate them. But can't you see that this would speak a lot to the porous nature of our borders? Because these people have access. They come and go at will.
Of course, we have close to 2,000 borders. Yes, up to 2,000 of them. But aside, it may interest you to know that about less than, well, I say 800 of these border spots are unmanned. We don't have personnel manning our borders. So they come in at will, they leave at will. What will it take for Nigerian government to deploy technology? If we're not having enough men on the ground, then we use technology. We place our borders on camera. And then there will be a single command and control placed somewhere in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, maybe in the defense headquarters, where we now begin to monitor and supervise what goes in and goes out of our border. Look at Chad the other day, saying they've shut down their own border against the bandits who may want to flee from Nigeria back to Chad after Donald Trump's threat came. Chad shutting down their border against us. It's laughable, but then it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's laughable, but it's not funny. So the government needs to be intentional. They need to sit up. We need to sit up. See, the loss of a life. Jonathan said that none of his ambition is worth the life of any Nigerian. So let's treat human lives here to be sacrosanct. Human life should be valued. We can't keep losing people. If Donald Trump says that Christians are being killed, yes, are Christians not being killed? They are being killed. So he wants to come and defend them. So but our government needs to do more. We need to do more.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Now, next paper coming from The Nation headline that says Tinubu targets interfaith, inter-ethnic truce in Plateau. And President Bola Tinubu is stepping in to cool rising tensions in Plateau State, deploying an emissary to help restore peace. Emissary Dr. Abiodun Esiet has met with both Christian religious leaders and the Fulani community, pushing for reconciliation through dialogue and community-based peace structures.
All right. So for me, this is quite commendable and is long overdue that we engage this very community and see to it what the actual challenge is. And I'm happy that this time around the federal government has taken the initiative, perhaps as a fallout from the threat from Donald Trump. This time around, we are sitting up doing the NIFO. And this tells you that government knows what to do. And like Mr. Chris did point out, perhaps they will to execute them, but gladly, that we're seeing this at this moment, engaging the various communities that are really involved. I was so happy to see that the Mieti Allah group were brought face to face at Basa with the Iriwe community, where everybody will begin to speak their truth, look each other in the face and say their truth with a view to reconciling these various communities and to institute a lasting peace. And I'm more excited to see that these peace emissary that has been sent are engaging not just the community leaders, the youth, and the Mieti Allah, the various factions. They're equally engaging religious leaders, people of faith, and others. At the end of the day, peace cannot be, the issue to the having peace cannot be overemphasized. It's paramount for development anywhere in the world. Chris,
yes,
I don't know if you are as excited as I am seeing this headline.
It's a welcome development, yes, of course, that the government is thinking along this path, of bringing stakeholders together to a round table. There's nothing as good as dialogue. You see, even if you go into war with an enemy, sorry, at the end of the day, it will still fall back to what? Dialogue. Different warring factions will still eventually come together on a table to do what? Broker peace. So why not broker the peace earlier before the war breaks out? You understand? So for government to have taken this path is welcomed, so that the various warring factions could be brought together. You hear from each party, you understand their differences, and you try to find a meeting point for them. But then again, the concern is, I hope it will not just be a mere academic exercise, at the end of the day, the implementation becomes a problem. Whatever resolution will be gotten from this peace move, we hope the government will implement it. If boundary is the problem, if land allocation is the problem, that is if actually the problem in Plateau is religious inclined. I don't know what the crisis there is. But I know that Plateau has always been a very lovable place, a very wonderful place to be. If you visited Plateau, if you've been in Jos, the weather there, the climate, the atmosphere in Jos is out of this world. It is near that of Europe. You understand? It's only in Jos you go and you begin to see things fall down like snow. You understand? It's a wonderful, beautiful city to behold. All of a sudden, we don't know where this whole thing started coming from. Well, let it not just end on the table. Let's put action to whatever resolution will be made coming from the table. The last time a Yiwadata community was attacked in Benue, we saw where Mr. President visited Benue. And at the end of the visit, 2 days later, after his visit, another counter-attack came up on the same community, where people were being slaughtered again and some other persons taken away into the bushes. So, please, as they have been spread this peace talk, this peace meeting, trying to broker peace, please could they make sure that they match action with words by trying to implement whatever peaceful resolution is attained, so that there could be peace again in the Plateau. That's my humble appeal. So that it will not just end up being business as usual,
All right.
Okay, now, so trending story coming from about the PDP's future in the convention. Yeah,
that's one.
The convention returns Suraki-elect. The implications, we'll be looking at the implications on the PDP convention and the expulsion of Yeso Wike, Sam Anyanwu, and co. Mr. Uche.
All right. The convention has come. They've had that convention. At the end of the day, we've seen, the fallout from this convention. We've seen the expulsion of Yeso Wike, Sam Dadi, and about 9 other persons from the PDP, as well as following the motion that was moved by the elder statesman Bode George himself. However, like I did say, we'll wait and see the reactions and the fallout that will come out from this very convention. We may see more court action as a result of the very convention that was held on the order of another court of competent jurisdiction as well. But Mr. Chris, yes, you've spoken to these issues.
Yes,
the PDP.
Yes.
They still make
wish
headlines.
it's going to end.
Okay.
I wish it's going to end so that our national dailies could begin to treat some other issues aside the PDP. PDP is becoming too popular these days, more than it has been in the past. Once upon a time, great party like the People's Democratic Party, now self-imploding, turning itself into shambles. But then, Osai, I must commend the courage of one man in the PDP, the governor for your state, Engineer Ayoshe Makinde. I think he has shown leadership. He has proven to be a leader. No matter what we may say about the outcome of the convention, for him to have been able to galvanize the remaining, elements in the party to say, let's do this. And for the very first time, summoning the courage to look truth in the eye and speak truth. For them to have summoned the courage to tell you some own weekend, stay away. We no longer need you. I think it's a welcome development. Even if the court tomorrow nullifies what they have done, for PDP for the very first time since 2023 elections, to ask Nyesom Ezonwike to stay away, we no longer need you. I'm going to give an apple. If you have a bell in the studio, I don't mind ringing it. Yes, I applauded to it. Well, it could be nullified later on, but I am happy it has been done. For crying out loud, Wike lost out in the presidential election bid of 2023. It's not enough reason for him to now want to pull the party down. No, now. PDP has been there since 1998. The likes of Alex Ekweme, the people that founded PDP. What would they be doing, talking about the people they left the party to? After how many years? Wike cannot be in PDP and be working for an APC government. That's an anti-party activity. No, to who do you now pay your allegiance and loyalty to? Is it your principal, the president who is in APC? Or is it to PDP? So your interests will be divided. So let's call a spade a spade. Ayo Fayose himself, former governor of Ekiti State, during the last election, Uche, he was campaigning openly for Bola Ahmed Tinubu's emergence of the APC. Yet you are the PDP. Who does that? For crying out loud. So INEC was not present at the National Convention, we understand, due to so many court litigations. I think that at the end of the day, this is will end up in the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court may end up again throwing more confusion. It is an internal affair of the party. Go and settle internally. So what I expect from Turaki, moving forward, is to go for peace.
Okay.
Call the various factions and say, please, let's make peace for the interests of this party. But they should kick Wike out.
They should kick Wike out. But do you see that happening? Do you think Wike is it time for Wike to finally move to the APC?
And let him join the APC.
But at the end of the day, we'll see court litigations concerning these matters.
He's going to fight back, we understand, because he's not going to take this line low. But he should join the APC officially. So
but Mr. Chris,
we know where he stands.
So that we understand where he stands. He's confusing the party.
We know where he stands all along. But we keep speaking to the lack of will of the PDP to do the needful, and it seems they are mustering the will that minute. Wike never hid his position. He's been PDAPC. Someone who has come publicly to tell you that he would make sure that nothing stands on the way of re-electing Mr. President. You understand? So he has already taken a stand long ago, but the PDP lacked the courage. But my question, Mr. Chris, this morning is, do you think it's yet Uhuru for the PDP as against 2027 election?
No, it's not yet Uhuru for the PDP. It's not. It is just part of the beginning of the solution to their problems. It's just beginning. Because aside, the electoral process is time-bound. It will be very dangerous and risky for anybody to remain in PDP and want to contest the election in 2027. Because very soon INEC will release its timetable. And if the PDP is not careful, if they end up in this court litigation, even if you go into election under the platform of the PDP and you win your election, your opponents may just come up tomorrow with any court case against you, and you see that you may lose your position. So it's not yet Uhuru. What they have just done now is what we've been expecting that they will, that they should have done in the past. If what they are doing now, that they had the courage of doing same before they started losing a lot of governors. I don't think the likes of Governor Peter of Enugu will let PDP if what the PDP has done now was done earlier. Because the man kept lamenting. He said, if you don't accept our candidate Udokoye to be the national secretary of the party, then it means you are simply shutting the doors against the Southeast in the PDP. Duyeduri left the other time. We are equally beginning to get the likes of Plateau maybe leaving any moment. I don't know if Kefas. But I think he too is on the line.
The information is that he too is knocking on the door of the APC.
The APC. Aneke, the dancing governor, we don't know where he's dancing to this time around. Into the APC. But the truth of the matter is, you see these main actors now, especially those of them who Ayo Makinde is doing his second term as governor.
Chris,
yes.
Let me beg you to hold your thoughts on that. Let's listen to Bode George.
Okay, the other statesman.
All right.
Okay. So as I was saying earlier on, as it stands now, any of them who is interested in running election for 2027, if you calculate after this period to see that maybe time will run out on you, you know the next option they have. Because the fear of self-implosion may affect the APC. Do you understand? Self-implosion may affect the APC. So some of these other principal elements remaining in the PDP may not want to join the APC. So their next option politically may be to join any other opposition party. Especially we are looking at ADC. So some of them may look at APC to say APC is already oversaturated by political actors. So they may tilt or turn towards joining any other viable opposition. Do you understand? If they are not able to manage this situation now, if it goes beyond this time, maybe get into this appeal court to the Supreme Court, the PDP will die. It will just die of politically naturally.
Okay. Well, we've had some governors distance themselves from the expulsion.
That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. Wike succeeded in funding the PDP since PDP lost the presidency in 2015. And in funding the party, he was able to produce people into elected positions across the country. I'll give it to Wike anyway. He had the large hearts to dole out money. But the money he was doling out, we don't know whether it was his personal money or if it was money for the Rivers State government. But he had the heart to go to even to the northern part of the country to produce people into elected positions. And I think that's why you now see some of the states distancing themselves from this very particular convention. The one I am particularly not surprised at is the position of the PDP Rivers. Of course, you understand. Fubara had just returned to office after the peace truce. Well, he has pledged allegiance to Wike and to the presidency. So for Rivers PDP, I am not surprised that they are distancing themselves from the National Convention. Which other state is that distances itself from the convention? So I think these ones are loyalists to Wike.
We had Makinde move motion for the dissolution of the PDP in Rivers State.
In Rivers?
Yes. I think that's a very savvy maneuver.
It's a welcome development. It's very much welcome.
But Chris, another issue that worries me is the angle from Sule Lamido, who had gone to court, yes, speaking about exclusion from the process. Do you think that at the end of the day may impact this very convention that we witnessed?
It may, but just like I said, that I see the litigation heading to the Supreme Court. When it gets to the Supreme Court is going to treat that as this matter. This is an internal matter. So what two are should do is to reach out to the Supreme so that they will reconcile their differences for the sake of the matter.
But there's this an opinion that was raised, though allegedly, that both Makinde and Wike are working for the same purpose. At the end of the day, the loggerhead, according to them, is orchestrated to keep the PDP in perpetual turmoil as against the backdrop going into 2027. I don't know if you can picture that as well.
Well, politics is a thing of interest. I understand that Makinde, for one, he's not just doing what he's doing now for the party for nothing. I think he's not seen a presidential ambition as well. But saying that he's working hand in hand with Wike, the same master, the same paymaster, I may not be in a position to be able to confirm that now until it begins to unfold. But I know that the last time we checked, both men belong to the same group of the 5G governors, men of integrity, they call themselves, that emerged after the Buha had broke out in the party as a result of the 2022 primary elections that produced the Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I don't think Makinde is actually working for the collapse of the PDP because his state, Oyo, is going to produce the next governor under the PDP. So he knows the implication of the crisis. So if he is going to be handing over to another governor in the party PDP, knowing the implication of this ongoing crisis, no, I don't think it is.
All right. Three issues I would want you to speak to.
Go ahead, sir.
One, do you observe that some of the G5 governors were not part of the people that were expelled from the party? Speak to the former governor of Enugu State, the former governor of Benue State as well. These were not names that were mentioned in the expulsion. Two, are we going to witness the 2015 scenario where we had the new PDP, then led by the Senate President Bukola Saraki? And then another point I want you to speak to is the relevance going forward of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. If he doesn't have a hold on the PDP, do you think he is still relevant to the president?
Let me start with the last matter. Being relevant to the president. You know, it's as a result of his activities pointing accusation as a president. I'll give it to Bola Tinubu. He's a master of his own strategies. I don't think there's any man, politically speaking, in Nigeria at the moment. The present crop of politicians in Nigeria outsmart Bola
Tinubu. Next president. Indeed, the PDP flag is the first flag presented to the national chairman of the party, Ambassador.
So he had just succeeded in having cashing in on the crisis in the party PDP.
As Ambassador on his
side,
the flag of the PDP.
That's aside. The very moment a leader, a politician begins to use someone else, what happens when the house collapses? He might abandon him. So we need to be careful with his romance with the power brokers around Mr. President. Some of them may not be too comfortable having Wike, come too close to Mr. President. If the PDP survives this crisis, I hope you know the role being played by the current chief of staff to Mr. President. You know who I mean.
Okay.
Well, let's not mention names anyway, but that man too is a very good politician. The former Speaker of the Federal House.
Speaking to Bajavia Miller.
All right, you called his name. So the role he plays around Mr. President politically, and some other kitchen cabinet members of Mr. President, they are watching, and they know the likes of Wike. If you allow him coming too closely, he's going to bring in crisis. So if PDP survives this crisis without Wike, I don't think the president may have any further need of Wike after 2027.
Okay.
Then the role played by the G5 governors, and now some of them are not being suspended. Yes, maybe they are not principal actors in the whole crisis. Okay. I just saw Governor Ifeanyi, former governor of Enugu, or some of Benue. What's the man's name from Abia? Ibazu, and even this Sheyi Makinde now, just dancing around Wike because Wike was the one who had the principal interest for presidency. So for these other ones, some of them, I see them, some of them may be favored with this appointment of ambassadorial positions now. You may hear 1, 2 of them being compensated. So for the PDP now, those ones are not really their major threat. So that's why the names on the suspension list did not affect them. The emergence of the new PDP that formed the coalition that formed APC. We know what happened then. It was all garnered against Goodluck Jonathan's emergence. Atiku Abubakar played that role, where he was able to pull some PDP governors, call them the new PDP, and they became a faction that joined the APC. Will it work out this time around? Hope that was your question. Well, it's not going to work.
We'll continue to watch.
We'll continue watching.
All right. Very in-depth analysis. Thank you, Mr. Chris, for those opinions.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Yes, however, I would begin to, in as much as we are commending the president for the diplomatic approach they've taken, we're thinking that at this point in time, that it's time to announce the terrorist financiers, who are their backers, who is financing them. It's now time to make the list public. if they have that intention, and then speaking to the will to execute all actions, to leave no stone unturned. I think that it's time for our leaders, for the presidency and the leadership of Nigeria to muster that courage to not just naming these terrorist financiers, but to see to the total kinetic approach in decimating these bandits. And then we are speaking to the issue of appointing foreign missions for Nigeria. It cannot be overemphasized that yes, we've wasted a lot of time. Perhaps if we had our foreign missions, like Mr. Chris did observe, things may not degenerate to this level. It could have been nipped at the bud as at when and the right time. And then speaking to engagement, it's time for us to begin to engage African leaders and then the Sahel states, most importantly, speaking to policing our borders. Our borders have been left porous for a long time. But when we engage the Sahel states and then use the use of technology to police our borders, perhaps we will see a holistic, defeat of these bandits. Then speaking to the issue of manufacturing, which we've said is very key in the growth of every economy, the government should see to it that the manufacturing sectors are not just able to access credit, but this credit should not be made too exorbitant with interest rate. The interest rate should be quite affordable to help the manufacturing sector continue to grow, employ more labor. And then coming to the issue of interfaith, we can only but commend the presidency, the government of Nigeria at this point in time, but let them, just like we were speaking to Will, let them have the way to implement their findings from this emissary when they are done engaging the various communities, the religious leaders, and as well. And then speaking to the PDP, the only question we'll have is finally, perhaps the PDP are beginning to wake up. And that's a wrap on newspaper review. Mr. Chris,
yes,
thank you very much for the in-depth analysis.
Thank you so
issues.
much, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Deborah.
And that's right, don't forget to grab physical copies from any of your favorite vendor or Cartier people online. And I'll be moving over to our celebration for today, which is the International Students' Day. And this day is a special observance dedicated to celebrating the energy, courage, and aspiration of students around the world. Now, International Students' Day is more than just a date on the calendar. It's a reminder of the powerful role young people play in shaping society. And this day traces its root back to 1939, when brave students in Prague stood up for freedom and paid a heavy price. Now, today we honor their legacy by recognizing students everywhere who continue to push boundaries, ask bold questions, and fight for a better future. So as we celebrate International Students' Day, this morning let's salute every student listening. Your determination, creativity, and resilience are the heartbeat of progress. So keep learning, keep dreaming, and keep believing, because the world is listening. And that's all for today's edition on Sunrise on Aneke TV. Don't forget to follow us on our social media feeds across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Or you can call our phone number 070-3043-7110. It's always a pleasure having you here on Sunrise every morning. I am Deborah Wakaba.
And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Be unique. Keep watching Aneke TV to come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Today to talk about what Nigerians think about WAEC going digital in 2026 and how it will affect village students.
Okay, I have no issue with WAEC coming digital 2026, but they should do preparation before 2026, making sure that every examination center has adequate computer system for all their students, their candidates, and then ensuring that all the candidates are computer compliant. It's not just bringing computer and then telling the student that cannot operate computer to start writing the exam using computer. It's going to be a waste of time, waste of resources, and waste of energy. So if they can get the student ready for CBT before 2026, they should bring it. Otherwise, the first thing is to get them ready and get the schools equipped. Shikina?
Actually, I have no problem with WAEC going digital. But the problem is, how sure are they that in some rural areas there is network? Are you getting it? Because in past experience, I discovered that in some jam centers, at times network do give problem, and before the candidate will meet up, at times fluctuation of network, it will affect the student capability or ability to pass very well. And secondly, talk of electricity or power supply. In last time there was a standby generator, but unfortunately there was no NEPA and the standby gen went off. So I don't know the level of plan or that they have put in place to make sure that all these things won't affect student performance.
Of course. It's not like WAEC going digital is a bad thing per se. My worry is that whether we as a country we are old enough in terms of the facilities we have to be able to accommodate everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean both in the rural area and both in the urban areas. Because you find out that there are some rural areas we visit in Nigeria today and you see that you can't have internet connection there. Some don't have enough computers to be able to make this exam CBT. So it's a step in the right direction, but I feel that we really have to do a lot to provide all that is needed to be able to accomplish it. If not, a whole lot of people, especially those in the rural area, will not be able to participate, and that will be unfair to them.
I believe that while going digital in 2026 is the right step in the right direction, because the world is going AI now. You can't change it. If you want to move forward, you move forward. If you want to be left behind, you'll be left behind. So Nigeria needs to carry their people along so that nobody will be left behind. The whole world, globally, is going on AI now. Digital is acclimatizing everything in the world now. So there's no other option than to get along. So our government will have to carry our people along. So if you refuse to go along, they'll drop you. Others will move on.
I don't think that if WAEC decide to go digital, they must have made preparation for that. Those in rural area, they must have considered those students and also make provision for that. So I don't think there is any way it's going to affect them. The only thing they get to do is to train the teachers so that they can also train those students at the rural area involving the digital they want to go. So in every aspect of planning to do, I felt that the government has budgeted for that and also make provision for those students. It's not going to affect them in any way.
These are the thoughts of Nigerians and how WAEC going digital will affect village students. I'm Ernest Misoma.
Hello, I'm Chidimbi Kemede, and we are on the streets today to find out from Nigerians if the ban of sachet alcohol and small bottle alcohol is going to make the youth drink less or is going to make them to go for more expensive ones. Join us.
The ban on sachet alcohol will reduce the rate at which you take alcohol. It will equally help, in keeping the environment neater, because the way they dispose the sachet everywhere, it's not really nice. Being that the sachet is not something that can decompose, it's harmful to the society. So that's on that. So I think really it will help reduce, because first of all, the sachet alcohol is cheaper. So it's affordable to the lowest of the low in the society. But if you reduce that and they have to buy the big one, of course they'll have to like save up to be able to buy that big bottle, and it will help discourage the rate at which they take it. Of course it will.
Actually, it will reduce the way they are taking alcohol, because the way people take alcohol now, because it's in sachet and is at a lower price. Not that they abandon alcohol, but they abandon the sachet. So maybe the bottle one will be somehow expensive, and not everybody will be able to afford it, unlike that of alcohol. Because most students now buy it and put in their bag. But if it's in bottle, I don't think it will happen like that.
And I don't think that banning sachet alcohol will make our youth to stop taking alcohol. They will resort to other alternative measures, because they must always take alcohol, no matter whatever it costs them. But they will resort to other measures. The only gainful effect is that it will reduce the rate at which the sachet alcohol, those ones in small bottles, are littering our environments and places. It will reduce the rate at which they litter the sachet alcohol with their, they litter the environment with sachet alcohol, and the sachets, when they cast it away, when they throw it away, they litter the whole places with the sachet and the small can of it. But not that it will reduce the rate at which they are taking alcohol. They still resort to other measures, because someone is addicted to someone is addicted to it. And there's something it always does to them when they take it. So they will resort to other measures.
Banning sachet alcohol will help a lot, because most of the youth spend their money on alcohol, and it's not good for the health, actually. Me, I don't take alcohol, so I guess it's good they ban sachet alcohol.
You've just heard from Nigerians about the ban of sachet alcohol and small bottle alcohol in Nigeria, how it's going to affect the youths, whether the youths are going to reduce the quantity of sachet alcohol that they drink, or if they're going to go for the more expensive ones. From the streets of Enugu State, I am Chidimma Ikeme, the Aneke TV. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has charged its personnel to embrace capacity building and enhance efficiency and strengthen community trust, declaring open the 2025 Junior Staff Retreat in Enugu. State Commandant Dr. Elijah Willie, represented by Deputy Commandant Olarichi, said the exercise would boost professionalism and service delivery. He commended the Commandant General, Professor Ahmed Aidi, for prioritizing training across all cadres, noting that the initiative has improved staff performance nationwide.
This particular retreat, which is the 2025 Junior Staff Retreat, is packaged for the junior cadre of our personnel from levels 7 to 3. And the theme is capacity building and empowerment, keys to excellence in security service delivery. And it promises to be a game changer for all our participants.
Head of Administration Egwon Chinyere noted that the training would deepen participants' understanding of core NSCDC operations and urge them to take full advantage of the opportunity. Similarly, Head of Training DCC A.O. Ogbonna lauded the State Commandant for prioritizing the professional growth of junior officers, while the host officer, SC Valentine Onaga, described the retreat as a platform for personal development and encouraged participants to remain dedicated and open to learning.
Today, you will be impacted on a whole lot that pertains to NSCDC. To whom much is given, much is what expected. So on this day, I urge you, listen attentively. Adhere to all that will be impacted on you.
Let it not be that this training goes into 1 year and then goes out the other year. Let it be part of you.
I want to appreciate the State Commandant for coming out with this initiative and then to encourage us to cool down and imbibe what will be taught today. So I want to encourage you and wish you a safe stay in Enugu South.
Over Over 300 junior officers from 37 divisions and 7 area commands are participating in the 2-day retreat themed Capacity Building and Empowerment, Keys to Excellence in Security Service Delivery. Aneke, Aneke TV.
Good morning and thank you for joining us today on The Insight. Remember, The Insight is that program where we x-ray and give post-mortem analysis on issues that help in shaping our nation. And today, we'll focus squarely on pressing national issues that shape our nation. Talk about the appointment of the new Aneke chairman, defections, is Nigeria turning into a one-party state, and happenings on October 20th, and a lot more. We've brought a Nigerian, a committed Nigerian, a committed citizen of Nigeria, first of all, a man who has lived these issues and is willing to speak about it without holding back. Honorable Nick Azonsi, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, today we are focusing squarely on conversation with Honorable Nick Azonsi on state and national issues. Honorable Nick is a chieftain of the PDP in Southeast Nigeria, former LG chairman, Udi local government area, and he is the deputy coordinator, Enugu PDP concerned stakeholders. Honorable, with you, first of all, let me say thank you for cancelling every other program to join us on this program, The Insight.
Thank you.
All right. Without wasting time, I want us to delve into the Aneke issue.
Okay.
Yes. The president has appointed a new Aneke chairman, and I want to take it this way. Honorable, the presidential appointment process for Aneke chairman, speaking to the section of our constitution, section 154, subsection 1 and subsection 3 of the 1999 constitution as amended, I want to ask, inherently, this part of the constitution, does it inherently compromise the neutrality of Aneke as regards with the incumbent most likely taking part in the election come 2020?
The answer is no. I think if not in this studio, it should be in the DSTV studio where I let Nigerians to discuss vehemently on electoral reform. And in electoral reform, the Independent National Electoral Commission should completely be independent. What do I mean? The Independent Electoral Commission should not, especially the chairman, should not be the chairman that should be appointed by the president. If it's the president that appoints him, it means he will be loyal to the president and his offices is no more independent. So, the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, with regards to the sections quoted now, negates the recent clamor for electoral reforms, whereby the Independent Electoral Commission should be removed from the office of the presidency. And they should remain independent, but with the clauses in the Constitution, it still means that they are appointable by the presidency and they are under the instructions of the presidency. And this will go a long way to be affecting our electoral process. Because if you are my servant, whatever instruction I give you, you must carry it out. The issue will no more be independent, but dependent on the man who actually appointed you. So the Independent National Electoral Commission, during this electoral reform that we are talking about, should be made to be completely independent, not appointable by the president, so that Nigerians at the end of every election can come out to say, yes, these people have actually been neutral in the electoral process, and whatever thing they deliver it without depending on who the man that appointed them. So I think that section does not give Nigerians what exactly looking for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable, still on this very issue.
Okay.
Every dispensation will keep talking about electoral reform. And particularly this section comes to mind, and it's always part of the burning issues of reform. Why is it that it's been difficult for us to amend this part of the Constitution and let INEC be truly independent?
It's very simple. It's very simple. You see, Rita Marley, the wife of Bob Marley, after the death of Bob Marley, she played the music and said, "He who feels it knows it." What am I saying? This time around, I'm indicting both the PDP, both the APC, those who have been in power before now. Whoever goes into power, try to allow the electoral system to suit their own government so that they wouldn't, shoot themselves on the leg. By, like, for instance, this electronic voting we're talking about, PDP and APC continue to say, let there be result declared at the collation center. And at the end of the day, if this party say that he's losing, especially the party in power, they will say there is a power failure. They will say there is a electronics failure to enable them to rig the election. So some of these things are some of the reasons why those in power does not want this electoral reform to take effect. It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God, no matter who wins election, no matter who loses election. So the people in power, as at that particular time that these things are being debated at the National Assembly, they try to downplay it to ensure that it does not affect them during election. Nobody knows who it will affect. It could go in either way. But the thing is that a president that has the bold mind and that can stand at the point of justice is the only president that can say, let there be electoral reform. But President A is afraid that he might lose the election if the application of electoral reform. President B might, during his own time, might be having the same feeling. So it takes the bold mind of the president or the National Assembly to ensure that electoral reforms, there are a lot of things that is contained in electoral reform which we cannot stay here. We just took one, Independent National Electoral Commission.
Yes.
So if it's implemented, no matter who source is God, Nigeria will stand strong and we will be having confidence in the electoral body. Yeah, go ahead.
The new INEC chairman that will speak about, Professor Josh Amopitan, has been sworn in.
Yes.
What is your expectation of this new chairman?
Well, people say that failure teaches success. I think
Failure teaches success.
Yes. Okay. When you fail an exam, you will learn from those things that made you to fail in order not to fail again. I think the new INEC chairman should learn from the things that made Mahmoud to fail. That's the former INEC chairman. They should learn from the things that made him to disappoint Nigerians. One is the area of the VVCs. Two is in area of overvotings and compromising some areas where the vote itself becomes bigger than the registered voters. These things, should be the new INEC chairman should put eyes down to see where the former INEC chairman has made mistakes and where Nigerians insisted they must spit on his face anywhere they see him. There are many states where you hear that Party A is winning, and all of a sudden you hear that that election in that state has been withheld. By next morning, you now hear that the winning has gone to Party B. So what am I trying to say? The current INEC chairman, remember INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, even if there's no electoral reform, he should try to prove a little independent based on the name of his office. to show that they are independent and they are willing to give Nigerians the things that came out from the field and not using them as a process of achieving one thing or the other. So the new Independent National Electoral Commission, like I said, one, he must ensure that if it's electronic voting, it is electronic to the end. If it is checking the number of registered voters, comparing it with the number of people that have voted, it should be followed to the end. And some other areas where, there are areas where people were voting by 7 o'clock, they are still voting, no light. Who knows what they were writing with the torchlights? I witnessed some of these things when I was going around the state, trying to see how some of these elections were going on. So some of these things should be checked. They should ensure that it does not happen. He should ensure that it does not happen during his own tenure.
All right.
Those things that made former Aneke chairman fail, he should learn from there. That's what I mean, that failure teaches success.
All right. With regard to credible and transparent elections in Nigeria, the new Aneke chairman has said, and I quote, "We cannot rig election for politicians. Our priority is to give Nigerians a free and credible elections." Given the historical challenges of political pressure and election, do you think this declaration is achievable or merely rhetoric?
Well, one thing is to make promises, and another thing to fulfill the promises. Okay. He may have it in his mind to do as he has promised Nigerians. But what I'm saying is that sometimes they are being influenced by the power that be. When he has to say yes in some areas, the power that be will say no, you must say no. He has no option. That's what we are saying. But if they are really independent, God will always bless one man for me in Nigeria. I am talking about the late Humphrey Nwosu, Professor Humphrey Nwosu.
That's the option A4?
No, I'm coming.
Okay.
Professor Humphrey Nwosu, when Babangida stopped him from declaring result, he said he would declare it even if he died. He announced that result. They brought him into the studio room, and from Waterland, he was harassed, he was beaten, but at least he has made bold his intentions. He has made Nigerians to know the truth about that election. And that was why you are hearing posthumous titles and declarations. Somebody who have died, who was demanding for the truth about an election, who was denied. It was after he died, somebody now came up to say, the reality is that the man actually won. So that was why many Nigerians begin to clamor that Humphrey Nwosu should be given the same honor that was given to late MKO Abiola as at that time. So we need people like this Professor Humphrey Nwosu, people that can stand the nozzle of the gun and say that this is the way the thing should be. So that means we are yet to arrive when we talk about the Independent National Electoral Commission. We will arrive at independent, but we need the man with a lion heart, the man who can stand the test of time, the man who can walk like Nelson Mandela, and rest of them, and say, on the truth, we stand about election. And not when they draw you to the backyard and give you 100 naira, you come out and say, oh, I made mistake when I was talking, and you say a different thing. No. So we are looking for credible Nigerians that will occupy credible positions like that Aneke. It's not about academics. There are many Nigerians that have PhDs in different disciplines. There are many Nigerians who can come out to shout and say something, but there are few of us who can stand the test of the truth. There are few of us who could say no is no when it is no, and yes is yes when it is yes. This is the kind of people we need in national electoral umpire. Whatever thing they say, we take it. But if we continue to leave it to be dangling or swinging between who is the bad man and who is the president that appointed him or whatever, what happened in the past will continue to happen. So we must make sure that credible people occupy these sensitive positions.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Honorable, let's look into defections.
Okay.
Yes. Now, given the spread of defections in Nigeria, and with APC controlling more states, do you think, Honorable, sincerely, that Nigeria is turning into a one-party state?
It is not true. Nigeria is not turning into a one-party state. You might say that maybe one party is trying to become popular because of the government at the center. There was a time it was a turn of PDP. People were running from APC. Everybody jumping into PDP. People were running from Labour, jumping into PDP. At a point, the hand of the clock has turned to the other side. So, the hand of the clock has turned. The people in the PDP are now running into APC. Now, let me give you the background. Before now, APC is being controlled by majority of the northern governors and northern politicians. Now, the President Tinubu from the south is still held onto the APC. And everybody in the south now started running towards the center of the APC as being led by the Tinubu administration. So it is not unusual that you see people running where they have they feel that they are secured. Like Adam Oshimole, in popular word, he said, whatever offense you commit, if you run into APC, your sins are forgiven. So, I'm just using that as an example. There are people that are actually feeling that the party where they are, because of central pressure, the pressure at the center, they might not win election. Either as a governor, as a senate, as a member of House of Rep. Now they have to move to APC to see if they can secure their position. It's not that APC is too popular. No. Some of these people are running to take shelter under the APC. Like if you listen to what our dear governor said, he said that he wants to bring Enugu State people closer to the center. It is not the center we're talking about. That is his feeling. But those of us who did not move with him, we are seeing it as his personal goal or what he has to that which he feels that they can drive Enugu State to the next level. But those of us who are diehard PDP members, we said, good luck. He's exercising his constitutional role, even when some people say they want to sue the governor because he moved into APC. I said, you people are wasting your time. Constitutionally, he has the right to move from one party to the other. The question is whether he will still be holding whatever position he held as at the APC, at the PDP governorship forum. So everybody has right to go wherever he wants to go. But you may not succeed in tying everybody, those who were your supporters before now, you may not succeed in tying everybody to your new political party. Okay. Party affairs has nothing to do with one-on-one relationship.
Okay.
You could be in APC, I could be in PDP. But every day we keep eating, dining, and hobnobbing because we are friends. So it doesn't stop us from maintaining our private relationship at the center. My younger brother was a member of the Labour Party then. I'm a PDP man. When he comes back every day in the evening, we sit in my parlor and say, boy, Daddy, how on our own work? I say, fine. I ask him, how on I take on our own? We laugh, we drink, and eat in my parlor. That is what politics should be all about. And not, this man is a PDP man, kill him. Or this man is a APC man, shoot him. No. Everybody is entitled to his enfranchisement. Everybody is entitled to choose whichever party he feels that he wants to belongs to. So that people are moving in droves to APC. And if you look at people that are moving, you only see commissioners, local government chairmen, councillors, party executives. These people, they are not making up to 0.5% of entire 100% in Enugu State position. Okay. So I am coming. In Enugu State, when the governor was the campaign, I wanted to ask him, did you say somebody like Jim Wobodo?
No, I didn't.
And the state says the campaign.
I didn't.
Did you?
I didn't.
Look, Did you see someone like Chimoro Kenamani say he's the campaign?
No.
Did you? I will continue to count notable members of PDP in Enugu State that actually built up PDP in Enugu State, but they were not there. So it does not stop their personal relationship with the governor or with anybody. But the people that left with the governor are mainly the local government chairman, the commissioners, some members of National Assembly, some councillors, and some party executives. The other 99.7% of the population of your PDP, they are still standing where they are. The concerned PDP stakeholder in Enugu State, they have representatives in all the 17 local government of Enugu State. Okay. They have coordinators. So, we PDP is still PDP. It's just like what you should say is that the power that
Honorable, I will come to
might have the money for.
Honorable, I will come to that. I will come to that. But you made mention of a few names. I didn't see those, but I saw the previous 2 governors of Enugu State.
Do you know what you see?
But I want to ask. I want to ask first. Yes. What's the significance of Jim Mob not being there? Chimaro Kenaman not being there?
You only mentioned only 2 people. You just mentioned only 2 people.
Well, I want to know the significance of women not being there, like you did mention.
They are not there because they don't want to be there. And they still want to stand. Did you see Okwesire Zomodo, the former governor of Enugu State, who later became the former PDP national secretary? Did you see him at that rally? He was not there. I'll tell you that if I continue to count people now, you will sleep in this studio. Now, coming to the 2 people you mentioned, I can help you mention others. It is not, they have not seen reason to move to APC.
Okay.
Some people said they might move to APC, not because governor is moving to APC, but when they see reason why they should move into APC. But there are people that move to APC because their governor has moved to APC, whether it is wrong or whether it is right. And then also, you try to mention Sullivan Chime and Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi.
Yes.
Let me tell you, politics is all about interest sometimes.
Okay.
Sullivan Chime, when he lost senatorial election of Enugu West senatorial zone to Senator Ike Ekweremadu, he was shocked after nomination and he was not happy. He decamped to APC. Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi was one of the G5 governors who were playing role in supporting Nyesom Wike and whatever, or Tom Dem and the other 2 governors. They were playing their G5, supporting Nyesom Wike. Immediately, some of these people hear that a ministerial slot want to come out from Enugu State as a result of Uche Nnaji, which they trickishly ousted out of office, from what I gathered. Anyway, we'll come to that.
Yes.
I'm talking about Nwakibia. Yes, he was trickishly removed from office. And instead of standing in trials and court, I think he discussed with the president. They say, just step down for now. Let's watch how it goes. The matter is still in court. So when Ugwuanyi landed, Enugu State representative at the ministerial level has left, they picked interest. And that is why you continue to see his name, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi and Sullivan Chime. Who will they appoint as a minister that will replace Uche Nnaji, since that slot is for Enugu State? And so others. Secondly also, personal relationship have existed between the governor, the current governor, and the former governor. I'm talking about His Excellency Dr. Ndubisi Mba and Gburugburu. It was Gburugburu that paved way for him to clinch the ticket of PDP. So it is not unusual. There are some people that continue to live as cat and dog, the governor and the person that is bringing in. And there are people that continue to maintain that good relationship. Go and look out throughout the whole Nigeria. I think it's only 1 or 2 places where you see a former governor keeping a good relationship with his deputy after their tenure. But it has always been fighting, the incumbent fighting the deputy until 2 of them leaves office. So the 2 men I just mentioned, they have eyes in the slot of APC a slot of Enugu State in a ministerial position, which has to be, recommended by the APC National.
Okay.
So it's not unusual.
Right. That's a good insight.
Yes.
But moving forward, let's watch a clip before I go to my next question.
Okay.
And there comes always a time when everyone must make a bold choice to determine their destiny. Today, after a long reflection, we have made the decision to leave the People's Democratic Party and join the All Progressive.
You have witnessed in Enugu migrating to a stronger platform that will reinforce our progress and continue with the trajectory that we have carried out here. I want to express my profound gratitude to the President of the Progressive to show that
And there comes always a time when everyone must make a bold choice to determine their destiny. Today, after a long reflection, we have made the decision to leave the People's Democratic Party and join the All Progressive.
You have witnessed in Enugu migrating to a stronger platform that will reinforce our progress and continue with the trajectory that we have carried out here. I want to express my profound gratitude to the President of the Progressive to show that
Honorable, that's your friend. I want to ask.
Yes.
What's your position? I mean, your position. You saw your friend talking about moving from PDP to APC. So I want to know.
No, the governor moving from PDP to APC is not unusual. He's not the first governor, he's not the second governor. But there are a lot of things that our people should x-ray. I keep saying that. I need a question. That question should be, why did the governor left PDP to APC? And that will give me a more clearer, comprehensive report about what actually happened. And what was that thing that happened? The governor had issues with the national PDP during the time, not his personal problem anyway. He was trying to save one of our brothers, former PDP youth leader, Sondudo Okoye. Because Sondudo Okoye came up to act as the PDP acting national secretary. Because Sunday Anyanwu, who was the PDP national secretary, went to Imo State to contest governorship election. And when he could not work, he now came back to assume his position. And Udokoye challenged him, and there were a lot of criticisms. But in the PDP constitution, there was how do I put it? There was a clause that said that any person on that level that wished to contest one election or the other may resign. They didn't say must resign. That was what gave Sam Anyanwu the strength to go to national court, to go to the Supreme Court. And when this was in the court, the governor said it must be Enugu State people that will occupy that position. And it must be Udokoye. Otherwise, that himself and the entire South Enugu State people will review their stand in PDP. Governor quickly forgot that Sam Anyanwu whom they want to replace is from Imo State. And even if somebody is to be replaced, he must be from the same Imo State. So, but I'm not against his solidarity for Udoka. He's a brother, is something a brother can sacrifice for a brother. But that was why the problem started. And you know our governor is one of the youngest governors. He doesn't eat humble pie. If he says anything and it comes to the hearing of the public, he stands with it. I know His Excellency, when I was a local government chairman, he was a commissioner for finance in Enugu State. We sit together, we talk together in the house of Chimaru Kendamani. He's not the person that says one thing to that, does another. And that was why it was very difficult for the Enugu State people under the leadership of His Excellency to retract their statement that if Udoko is not allowed to occupy that position, that they will reconsider their position. So that was one. Number two, now Samaya went to court with the help of Nyesom Wike and rest of others. They won. And having won as a national secretary, it became a danger signal to the governor that this man now who won as a national secretary, if he remain in PDP, might be the person that will sign or will not sign his nomination form when he starts seeking for second tenure, and some other people from Enugu State. I didn't blame his fears, but I was on the air, both in the television and the paper, in the FM. I pleaded with the governor, say, throw it like a dice for me and some others, those of us who are concerned members of PDP in Enugu State. Let's go to the national headquarters. Let us summon the national chairman. Let us meet here so we can ask him, why are you humiliating the governor of Enugu State that is feeling being threatened? Well, maybe because the voice of nobody. I am not a commissioner. I am not this. We're in this state here. We are. If I tell you that we are 3 multiplied by the number of wards they have in Enugu State. 4 men in short multiplied by total wards, about 260 something wards in this state. We have 4 men in all the wards.
You mean
the concern? Yes. Okay. So we wanted to mobilize our executive. We go to Abuja. We go to the National Assembly. We go to PDP headquarters. Whoever is concerned. But governor felt we may not be capable of achieving that. And we are insignificant. He doesn't need to talk with us. And everybody has to forehand. And now until the governor left. And we said, okay, since the governor has left the party, we have no otherwise, we can't do otherwise than to hold on to the party and ensure that the tenets and the integrity of the party still stands. So we maintain it. Even if it's the last human being that stands on the line, myself, I will continue to stand up. It does not stop my personal relationship with anybody.
All right, Honorable. Will I be now right to say that this defection is a calculated political move on or for self-preservation ahead of 2027, rather than realignment of Enugu State to the Center for Economic Development?
I told you that any man that want to beat his wife, if he doesn't say what to say, he said that the wife looked at him with the one side of her eyes and he will slap his wife. The governor is trying to take shelter. The governor wants to be proactive against what will happen in 2027. That is, we'll be here talking about PDP thing and time will run away from me. So, with other things he said about taking Enugu State to center, it's very good if we're allowed to remain at the center, if we're recognized as being at the center. So, right. But the truth is that every hunter that is in the bush does not continue to look front. A good hunter rotates in every forest as he's moving, he rotates, looking for animal to kill and then dodging animal that might kill him or harm him. So I think the governor is trying to play safe.
Okay. Right. Now that you mentioned it in your next, when you were answering that question, I want to toe that line, but let's watch the next clip as I join the two issues together. Deputy Coordinator of Concerned PDP Stakeholders in Enugu State.
Yes.
What is this about?
Yes, the concerned citizens of PDP in Enugu State are the original PDP members, the die-hard PDP members, the PDP member who said that if anybody leaves PDP to go to any party, will still remain in PDP, including the governor that was rumored that he'll be going into APC or into any, it's just a rumor. I keep telling people that as long as the governor remains the governor of Enugu State, he is the leader of PDP. But if he's leaving PDP today to another party, there are, the aborigines, there are the fundamental members of PDP who said on PDP we stand. I know there was a time when there was almost nothing like PDP. It was only people like Nyesom Wike, them, count them, there are some of them who insisted on PDP will remain. And that is where you're still hearing about PDP today. Right. So we are the people who said on PDP, even if it is the last, we are to be 2 or 3 standing on the line. If they leave PDP to any party they like, oh, good and fine. We are the people that will hold the tenets of PDP in Enugu.
All right, that speaks to the fact that there's a concern. So, Honorable.
Still saying the same thing.
Yes. Now, I want to ask, now that the governor has defected, what is the position of the Enugu PDP concerned stakeholders in all this? 1. 2, are you still willing to be the last man standing?
Well, like the clip you showed, I keep maintaining it and I keep saying, PDP is like a blood inside human beings. It will take the school children years before they can mention or recite the slogan of APC. Children in primary school, power to the people. Children in nursery school, power to the people. How do we convince them about APC slogan? What am I trying to say? Since 1999 to this date, PDP has eaten deep into the marrow of people of Enugu State and the majority in the southeast. Now let me help us small. The PDP you are seeing today is not as a result of those who have been leaders. I mentioned about 4 strong men or 3 who have not moved an inch from PDP. Are you getting me? They have not moved an inch. I talk about Okwesiri Ezenwodo. I talked about Jim Nwobodo. I talked about mention them. You should ask some of these veterans, why haven't they left PDP? Somebody asked me the other day, since the governor that was helping to finance PDP is no more there. I now ask him, before PDP came in, who was financing the party? There was a time we have NRS SDP. They left. These other parties came. So it will just be the same way. People will be able to host close to 4 people multiplied by 200, close to 1,000 something people we hosted. Only very few of us put heads together and said, people that are coming, at least they must go with small transport. They must drink water when they come and so on and so forth. We made these provisions within ourselves because if you say you must be a winner, you must sacrifice for being a winner. Well, our own is that we want to ensure that in the 17 local government of Enugu State, every local government must have full 17 executives of the PDP. Multiply by that number, multiply by 17. You go to the local government, multiply by 17. You go to the world, multiply by 265 or 66. So the PDP will continue to exist, not only existing, will continue to live, not only living, will continue to show surprises to people, especially those who feel that PDP, maybe because the greater financial of the PDP, they have left the party. When the people will come to vote, when it's time for people to come to the field, that's when you know that PDP is in the blood of Enugu State people and in their conscience. Not about the money you give them, not about the conviction. It is through the ballot. Everything being free and fair. Through the ballot, PDP will shake Enugu State. Not only Enugu State will shake Southeast. So we are watching, and very soon we see the dynamic change.
Okay. For once of time, I wanted to rush up a bit, but I must ask. There are people who have posited that even among the concerned PDP stakeholders in Enugu, that those of them who are against the governor or speaking against governor leaving the PDP are mostly populated by people who sought for one favor or the other from the governor, but could no longer access the governor.
Okay. I want to sit down here now. My picture is on the telly. Use it as an advert if I've ever been to the governor to ask him for any favor. My name is Dr. Aneke, the former chairman of Udi local government, former special advisor to the former deputy president of the Senate, former national secretary, Federal Ministerial Monitoring Team Office of the Minister for Works. If I have ever any day gone to the governor and say, I need a favor, if you know that I suffered during your election, I didn't sleep from morning to morning, if you want to recognize me, fine. So there are people who might have gone to the governor for one help or the other. Not me. I'm on the air. If there is such, let the person come with document or video or whatever. But I merit being recognized by the governor. But being recognized by the governor or given an appointment does not mean that if the governor is going to APC, they will drag me like a goat. I might say, Oga, if your appointment is this cap, take the cap and let me remain where I am. I am a core PDP man. I am the deputy chairman, Enugu State concerned PDP stakeholders. We are the people that say that PDP should leave. We are not against the governor. Let him do his own. Let him secure his position. And let us do our own.
All right. For once of time, I know there are a lot of things to unpack, but since we are talking about PDP,
yes,
there are still a lot of issues
okay
to unravel about PDP. But for once of time, I want to talk about Enugu State.
Okay.
Have you heard the name Barrister Oruro?
Yeah, Stephen Oruro. Yes, he's our friend.
Recently, he's been said to be the party leader in Enugu State.
I'm listening. Go on.
I want to know your position. Is he now the de facto chairman of PDP in Enugu State?
I receive a lot of phone calls concerning this our friend Stephen Oruro. You know, for your information and for the information of Enugu State people and Nigerians, nobody appointed Stephen Oruro as the acting chairman of PDP in Enugu State. Let me help you. The governor has left PDP with ESCOs and every other person in his party. They have gone to APC. And what National is supposed to do in that situation is to dissolve the PDP of Enugu State, appoint caretaker committee that will be running the affairs of the party until pure this election is being done to bring in those that will govern the party. Not only that, there is an issue that is on board. And immediately after that issue, these things I'm saying will continue to play out. By Friday, court will be delivering judgment on issue concerning the national convention of the PDP. So when this verdict is delivered, it will go a long way to reshape every state and the national of PDP. And by that time, PDP cannot have eyes to look at the states where there is no functional PDP executive. So Oruro is not nobody. Just like you are, you can come out and say that you are the acting general manager of NTA in Enugu. Nobody will beat you. But when they begin to ask you, I am coming. So there are moves in PDP. They have joined the APC, but they want to keep one leg in PDP. It's not possible until not work. Follow your master and follow whom you serve. So that name you mentioned is our brother. He cannot be an Nkanu man as an acting chairman. Ben Nwonye, an Nkanu man as an acting chairman of APC. The governor an Nkanuman, executive governor of Enugu State, and so on and so forth. To just keep that line low.
No. Honorable, for the sake of equity.
Yes.
One, there cannot be a vacuum.
Yes.
Nature abhors vacuum.
Okay.
In the absence of the leader, and at the national level has not yet appointed any caretaker committee for PDP in Enugu.
Okay.
Is it not right that as the deputy leader or deputy chairman of PDP in Enugu State, that he should assume that position? That's one.
Okay.
Two, your goes with him, is it because he's an Kano man, where the governor comes from, and the acting chairman of the APC is equally from that?
That is, I only use that to let you know that these things cannot hold waters.
Okay.
I said, and I repeat, you said nature abhors vacuum, but I've gone to a litmus test to prove that nature sometimes abhors vacuum. Ask me how. If they pick all of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put us outside this room and lock the door, what happens in this room? It's not a vacuum?
Okay.
No. Let's look at the practical side of the grammar. Nature abhors vacuum here. But if they pick 5 of us and we leave this room, they lock it, what is happening here? It's not a vacuum? So where I'm going is that the people who have left PDP should not be putting one leg behind that we are in PDP. And nobody can plant anybody for the Enugu State PDP people. You can nobody can plant anybody to come and govern PDP when we are alive. Are you hearing me? So those who have left should go. If some of these people, if they are still interested in the PDP thing, which they should come back fully. And then all of us will move together. But one hand cannot be outside the window and the other one will be inside the room. That's what we are saying. That some of these our brothers are playing dual role. They're into dual functions. So some want to please their masters. But it is not possible in this dispensation. As soon as very soon you hear that the executives of Enugu State PDP has been dissolved. And when it's dissolved, the ESCO will be formed. Whoever finds himself there can continue to function. But not about the name you mentioned, who was a deputy to the other man. If all of them were to be in PDP, maybe as a result of that, something happened to the first man. The second man can continue to act until the national ratifies it. So whatever thing that will happen in Enugu State will be ratified by the national executives of PDP at Abuja, by the BOT members, and by the National Working Committee. These are the 3 bodies that will say this is the position of PDP in Enugu State. Not somebody staying in the state saying that I'm the acting chairman. It's just like now, tomorrow, maybe before the governor was sworn in, I jump up and start saying I'm the acting governor. No. You don't assume a function, a duty that has not been officially or constitutionally assigned to you.
All right. Honorable, let me speed up a bit.
Okay.
I wanted to play a clip, but for want of time, I just want to go straight into the question.
All right.
Your friend, talking about the FCT minister, Aneke.
Our friend.
Okay.
Our brother, yes.
All right. His team seems to be of the view or the position that the National Convention slated for November 15th and 16th would not hold.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
I'm asking, we were thinking that at this time, we would be talking about resolving the whole issues in the PDP. But from his position, it seems that if that convention should hold, that the crisis in PDP would deepen rather than getting to a pathway to solving the crisis. If
I'm to mark your question paper on this question you asked, well, I give you 50. You didn't get the question well. Nelson Wike did not say that the convention will not hold. There are issues lying down in PDP, which A, B, C, D to Z are seen. Which Wike said, for PDP to excel, that these salient issues that are affecting the party should be addressed. Are you getting it now? That if not addressed, that it will affect the PDP convention. Are you getting it now? One is the issue of there are many of them because you are saying every time.
Okay, talking about World Congress. You mentioned World Congress.
Sam Anyanwu is the secretary, national secretary of PDP. A lot of things they were doing. The man came up to say he's not being informed because they feel that he's a friend to Nelson Wike. That even the letter they need, some document they need to sign for the convention, that his signature was forged. That is number one. The PDP South Congress that was done. They said they want to review it. We can say no, it has been done, it should be like that. Nobody should go there to involve a lot of problems. You go to Imo State and other state, the PDP chairman of these two states, they were suspended for doing nothing. Are you getting me? They say that they are seeing their hand like their hand inside the soup like a monkey hand if he's an Igbo man. There are many of them. We can say, let us ratify these things. We cannot be brushing shoulders where we are going, where we eat eggs and honey. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If I'm marching to a table to eat egg and honey with you, and you are bruising me with your shoulder and bruising you, how does the thing look? And how will they enjoy it? So we can say that this matter should be settled so that if we're going into convention, we go to convention with open heart and oneness. And he criticized also the national chairman for not involving him in some of as one of the stakeholders. He didn't say, he said, yes, I know I'm not a governor, but one or two decisions that needed to be taken, judging from his involvement from day one. He carried the cross of PDP. Forget about recently that a lot of things were falling apart. Wike has his problems, yes, but he has made a very big giant footprint in the history of PDP in the whole Nigeria. He may have his personal attitude that people don't like, but what of the ones where he rescued a lot of governors, a lot of national working committee members, a lot of NEC members to ensure that PDP stands. Okay. So I think that is how we should leave it.
Honorable Nick, let me leave it at that, but there are a lot of things to still explore. I will still invite you on this same issue. We need to, explore and explain this issue totally. However, I want to, for conclusion, in a few minutes, I want to ask, given insecurity in Nigeria, where's the opposition on state policing?
State policing in Nigeria is not negotiable. When Senator the former Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Kuremadu, started talking about police state program, people saw him as somebody who wanted to install police in the southeast. It's not quite long. Many people begin to understand that it is the police on the ground. It is the locality, the local boys and local men who knows where criminals are. So it's important that we have state policing all through Nigeria. Boko Haram villagers know where their people are coming. When you empower these villagers, they will pursue Boko Haram. You go to Imo State, to Enugu State, you said that there are people that are giving problems. They call them unknown. If they give us state policing, these people will be known because they take off from our various villages and our various communities. So it's not negotiable. The National Assembly should pass that law establishing state policing. Thank you very much. All right,
that's where we'll draw the curtain today on the Insight. But remember that on the Insight, your voice matters. Remember to reach us with the hashtag The Insight on at Aneke TV on TikTok, Facebook, X, and YouTube. And we've been speaking with Honorable Nick Ozonsi, a chieftain of the PDP in Southeast, former local government chairman, UDI, local government area.
And a political analyst.
A political analyst, yes. Okay. And the deputy coordinator of Enugu PDP concerned stakeholders, Honorable Nick Ozonsi. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Let me extend the invitation once more, so I could explore this issue. Can't exhaust it, but we need time.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
From the tiniest cells to the farthest galaxies, life holds secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Why are we here? What connects us all? What unseen forces shape our destiny? Join Professor Jude Udenta as he explores the wonders, the questions, and the revelations that define existence. Mysteries of life, where every answer sparks a new discovery. Watch now on Aneke TV every Monday.
The soul is part of us that survives every storm. You can't see it, but you can feel it in silence, in longing, in every heartbeat that keeps going. It asks for more than food and fame. It hungers for meaning, for stillness, for the divine. The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we were fades, but what we are at our core remains.
And we are on the street today to find out what Nigerians think about some trending issues in the society. Please join us as they share their thoughts.
First of all, I'm not passionate about leaving the country per se, like the Jackpot thing. For me, I want to actually stay in this country and then build myself. If I should go outside the country, it should be for vacation and to come back. Yeah, so I'm not really interested in the illegal parts or whether it is legal or illegal. I'm not really interested.
I just want to be free. I like freedom. I like comfort. So if I'm leaving, I want it to be legal.
Human trafficking in Nigeria is not something we hear about every day, but then we know it's happening. So, but we don't hear about measures they take to curb this thing happening in the country. I don't necessarily have to say they are doing very well, but from the news, we don't hear things we don't hear things like them getting curbing it, or maybe them busting out these human traffickers. We don't hear things like, okay, so number of persons were caught trafficking and then they have been jailed or an action has been taken against them. We don't hear these things, so we don't know if they're actually doing enough. So we'd actually urge them to do these things, and when they do it, they have to let the public know that, okay, we as a government, we are fighting human trafficking.
When you talk about human traffickers are talking about exchanging of, that is sending our young ones outside for personal purposes and personal profits. Well, what I will actually say is because the way this country is something that's now, because the first thing that the government need to do is have to fish out those who are involved in it, and I know they are doing it. Now, one benefit I know as a computer scientist or as a computer engineer is making use of what this AI to fish out them. If they can improve on that technology, I believe they can easily be able to track out those who are involved in it. And once they are able to track out those involved in it, then those who are involved should face the persecution, should face the law. What the law says about it, then they should be able to face it. By the time they face it, I believe things like this will reduce. So my advice to the government is for them to improve their technology and how to track this thing. But for now, for me as a scientist, Nigeria is really lacking behind in terms of improvement of technology. That's what I actually want them to improve on. Nigeria is actually lacking behind in terms of technology. By the time they improve in technology, I believe tracking of this human trafficking will be very easy for Nigerians to do.
For human traffickers, I feel like there should be a capital punishment because no one deserves to be trafficked, and it's actually a very, very serious offense.
It's something the government should take into consideration. It's not something we hear about all the time, but then it's something that still happens, and it still happens in many places, but then we don't really hear about it that much. So the government should actually do something or take any measure to curb human trafficking.
I don't really care about that. I feel like everybody should mind their business. It's their marriage and it's their life. There's a reason why Regina Daniels, is coming out to everybody to complain. Probably she's too scared to face it, out in her marriage. You understand? Because I heard that she was domestically abused. So that can, traumatize her to do anything. So she's not seeking help from outside people. Nonetheless, anyone that works for them.
I don't think it's over. I think it's just hitting a rough patch. Yeah.
because as they say, you cannot get in between two lovers. As she said in her recent post that she married him out of that she fell in love with him. So
I am Chidimi Kemede, Aneke TV.
Afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakba. And now to the headlines. CSOs caution Nigeria delegates against tobacco industry influence at Global Health Summit. Emerson Nusi calls for heightened vigilance in Kano border communities. Customs intercept endangered wildlife consignment at Sema border. Abia lawmakers urge President Tinubu to order release of Nnamdi Kanu. Electricity workers threaten nationwide strike over alleged police assault at substation. And now the news in details. Civil society organizations in Nigeria have issued a firm warning to the country's delegation attending the 11th conference of the parties to the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control in Geneva. The groups urge members of the delegation to remain vigilant and resist any direct or indirect influence from the tobacco industry. According to them, global tobacco lobbies are intensifying efforts to weaken regulatory safeguards already in place. The organizations led by NTCA and CAPPA expressed particular concern over what they described as a renewed push to legitimate emerging nicotine products such as e-cigarettes under the guise of harm reduction. The said industry is actively deploying proxies across delegations to secure sympathetic positions in official negotiations. They reminded delegates that Article 5.3 of the WHO FCTC explicitly bars engagement with tobacco industry interests in ways that may compromise public health. Allowing industry-backed funding or collaboration, they cautioned, would undermine Nigeria's National Tobacco Control Act. The CSOs pledged to closely monitor Nigeria's conduct throughout the summit. They vowed to hold every delegate accountable for any action that may weaken the fight against tobacco, addiction, or expose Nigerians to renewed public health risks. The groups maintain that protecting citizens must remain at the heart of all decisions taken at COP11. The Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, has called for heightened vigilance across border communities following renewed bandit attacks in Farurua, Shahono local government area. The Emir made the appeal during a sympathy visit to the community where he met families affected by recent incursions believed to have originated from neighboring Katsina state. He urged traditional rulers, residents and local volunteers to work more closely with security agencies. Emir Sanusi expressed deep concern over the pattern of attacks, which include cattle rustling, killings, and kidnappings. He said his visit was aimed at reassuring the community of the state government's commitment to stabilizing the area. He also noted that new deployment of personnel and logistics, including patrol vehicles, have been made to strengthen security in vulnerable communities. The monarch further warned that any peace arrangement reached between Katsina communities and bandits must never be exploited as a cover for criminals to raid Kano villages. He stressed that criminal groups often take advantage of porous boundaries, making coordinated interstate responses essential. He encouraged local vigilantes to sustain their support for the military and police operations currently underway. His visit came shortly after troops repelled an attempted invasion of Shanono, killing 19 bandits in the process. However, the confrontation resulted in the loss of 2 soldiers and 1 vigilante. And Mr. Nuse described the sacrifice as a reminder of the severity of the security challenge and reiterated his call for unified community action. The Nigerian Customs Service Semi-Area Command has intercepted a lion cub and two Patas monkeys in an operation along the Badagry Semi corridor. The animals were discovered inside a blue Mazda vehicle during a routine stop and search near the Baji access. Officials say the interception underscores Nigeria's commitment to enforcing global conventions on endangered species. Two suspects, a Beninese national and a Nigerian, were arrested after claiming ownership of the animals. They confessed to purchasing the wildlife in Kano with the intention of smuggling them into Benin Republic. In line with established wildlife laws, the animals were seized and handed over to the Green Fingers Wildlife Initiative for proper care and rehabilitation. The handover was conducted in accordance with the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species (CITES), to which Nigeria is a signatory. Officials say the animals will be medically evaluated before further action. The Federal High Court has announced that its annual Christmas vacation will begin on December 19, 2025, with full judicial operations scheduled to resume January 7, 2026. The directive was issued by the Chief Judge, Justice John Tosho, in line with the provisions of the court rules governing judicial breaks across its divisions nationwide. According to the circular, only the Abuja, Lagos and Port Harcourt divisions will remain open during the vacation to entertain urgent matters requiring immediate judicial intervention. This includes cases relating to the enforcement of fundamental rights, maritime disputes involving the arrest or release of vessels, and issues deemed to be of urgent national importance. The Enugu state government has credited a significant rise in internally generated revenue to stronger coordination among revenue agencies and the complete digital transformation of its collection processes. The government say the reforms have substantially reduced leakages and closed long-standing loopholes in ministries, departments, and agencies. Officials also report that more residents have now been captured in the tax net. Secretary to the state government, Professor Chijebere Onya, disclosed this during a strategy retreat themed From Silos to Synergy, hosted by the governor's revenue assurance team. He said the administration's digital overhaul has enabled real-time tracking of payments, improved transparency, and enhanced public understanding of how revenue drives development. According to him, removing cash payments across MDAs remains one of the most transformative aspects of the reforms. Professor Onya noted that MDAs now operate under quarterly and annual targets backed by public scorecards. He added that several cases of attempted revenue diversion have been identified and prosecuted through strengthened monitoring and whistleblower mechanisms. He maintained that the digital dashboard now in place support more effective project evaluation across the state. Executive Chairman of the Enugu State Internal Revenue Service, Ekene Namani, said interagency coordination and digital systems have driven the revenue gains. Other officials at the retreat emphasized the need for full compliance with the Central Revenue Management System and warned that fragmented data systems and manual procedures remain the biggest obstacles to future growth. Participants resolved to deepen synergy and strengthen digital capacity ahead of the 2026 revenue cycle. The Fourth Enugu Catholic Diocesan Synod has officially opened at Holy Ghost Cathedral, drawing political leaders, clergy, and lay faithful to discuss the life, mission, and growth of the Church in the diocese. The Apostolic Nuncio to Nigeria, His Grace Most Reverend Francis Michael Crotty, declared the Synod open, highlighting its importance to both the local church and the universal Catholic community. In his welcome address, the Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Most Reverend Callistus Onaga, explained that the week-long synod, running from November 16 to 22, will address emerging challenges and deepen the spiritual life of the faithful. He described the synod as an ecclesiastical assembly where a bishop seeks counsel on matters of faith, morals, discipline, and mission. Bishop Onaga traced the history of the diocese, recalling that the first Enugu Diocesan Synod was convened by the late Bishop Michael Aneke in 1983. He listed critical issues for deliberation, including social media and artificial intelligence, youth empowerment, better practices, and the long-standing Osu and Ohu caste concerns, expressing hope for lasting solutions. Chairman of the Synod Planning Committee, Very Reverend Father Professor Christian Aneke, noted that the Fourth Synod was convened after prayerful reflection and broad consultations, 10 years after the Third Synod. The gatherings aim to open new doors of hope for the Church's mission while examining rapid social changes affecting faith and practice. Presentations have focused on catechesis, holistic education, responsible use of digital technology, and priest information. Dignitaries at the event included the Catholic Bishop of Ekulobia Diocese, Cardinal Peter Obareke, former Deputy Governor of Enugu State, Ms. Cecilia Ezilo, seminarians, members of Consecrated Life, Knights and Ladies, and delegates from other Christian denominations. The Synod is expected to strengthen faith, promote unity, and enhance the Church's mission in the years ahead. You're watching Aneke TV News across the country. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now a quick reminder of major developments in the news. MRSNC calls for heightened vigilance in Kano border communities. Custom intercepts endangered wildlife consignment at Sema border. And coming up shortly, Abia lawmakers urge President Tinubu to order release of Nnamdi Kanu. Electricity workers strengthen nationwide strike over alleged police assault at substation. We'll be right back. Still on the news, the Abia State House of Assembly has formally written a President Bola Tinubu urging him to grant unconditional release to the detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Lawmakers described the appeal as a critical step toward restoring peace and addressing lingering insecurity in the southeast. The resolution, supported by all 24 members, reflects growing concerns about the impact of Kanu's prolonged detention on social stability and development efforts in the region. The Assembly ordered the President to invoke Section 174, subsection C of the Constitution, empowering the Attorney General of the Federation to issue a nolle prosequi to discontinue the criminal prosecution. The letter also referenced the controversy surrounding the Kanu's 2021 transfer from Kenya, which has remained a point of legal and diplomatic debate. Legislators maintain that Kanu's release would ease tension, reduce agitation, and open the door for meaningful dialogue among stakeholders in the southeast. The House equally appeals to community leaders and youth groups to support constructive engagement once the matter is resolved. In a separate development, Nnamdi Kanu filed a 50 billion naira lawsuit against the Nigerian Medical Association and several doctors, accusing them of submitting a false medical report during his terrorism trial. He contends that the disputed report influenced the court's decision declaring him fit to stand trial. Kanu, currently held by the State Security Service, is seeking an independent medical examination and further legal remedies. The federal government has yet to respond to the latest suit. The federal government has approved Enugu State as the host of the new Southeast Zonal headquarters of the National Institute for Sport, NIS, marking a major boost for sports development in the region. NIS Director General Comrade Philip Shaibu announced the decision during a visit to Governor Peter Mbah, commending the state's infrastructure, security, and hospitality. He described Enugu as an ideal environment for nurturing emerging athletes and strengthening sports administration. Shaibu, a former Deputy Governor of Edo State, said the establishment of the zonal office aligns with the President Bola Tinubu's directive to decentralize sport management. He emphasized that the zonal headquarters will serve as a catalyst for regional development and renewed competitiveness in national and international sporting events. Governor Mbah welcomed the project, stating that Enugu has a long history of producing sport legends and remains committed to strengthening its sport institution. The governor reaffirmed his readiness to provide infrastructure, logistics, and all necessary support for the rapid takeoff of the zonal office. The National Union of Electricity Employees, NUEE, has threatened a nationwide strike following an alleged attack on workers at the Ebu transmission substation in Imo State. The union accused the armed police officers of storming the facility, assaulting staff and vandalizing equipment in what it described as an attempt to force an illegal outage. NUEE said the workers were held hostage and some forcibly taken away, prompting immediate operational shutdown in the state. Union leaders condemned the incident, insisting that such heavy-handed interventions endanger national security given the strategic importance of power infrastructure. NUEE warned that failure to meet these conditions could trigger a full-scale national blackout. The union further alleged that similar incidents have occurred in recent months without adequate accountability from the authorities. According to NUE, these recurrent confrontations undermine staff morale and disrupt essential power supply operations. They called on the federal government to intervene urgently to protect technical workers and prevent future clashes between security agencies and utility operators. However, the Imo State Police Command dismissed the claim of abduction, describing the confrontation as an operational disagreement involving the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company and the Orashi Electricity Distribution Company. Police spokesperson DSP Harry Okoye said the matter was already being addressed by the State Regulatory Commission. He assured residents that a full investigation has been ordered and that measures have been taken to maintain peace around critical power installations. The Abia state government has confirmed that 21 Turkish investors have registered for the upcoming Abia-Turkey Investment Summit and Product Exhibition scheduled to hold in Umuahia later this month. Special Advisor to the Governor of Investment Promotion, Chief Jerome Green Amakwe, said the summit is designed to deepen economic ties and attract new businesses from Turkey and across Europe. He noted that interest continues to grow as the event draws closer. Green Amakwe assured participants that Abia State has put strong security measures in place, citing effective collaboration with the military and police. He said the state has built a reputation as one of the safest business environments in the region and is ready to receive high-profile investors. According to him, the summit themed Bridging Continents, Unlocking Prosperity will showcase industrial opportunities, support new firms, and strengthen bilateral partnership. He added that the state government is committed to improving access to land, infrastructure, and operational support to ensure investors can set up businesses with ease. The summit, he stressed, will also promote technology exchange, manufacturing expansion, and long-term commercial collaboration between Abia and participating companies. Organizers expect the event to boost job creation and economic diversification. The Ogun State government has launched a multi-stakeholder agribusiness forum under the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones (SAPZ) program to enhance private sector participation in agricultural transformation. Commissioner for Agriculture Bolu Owotomo said the forum is central to Governor Dapo Abiodun's agenda of boosting food security, driving industrial growth, and empowering youth and women in the agricultural value chain. Owotomo noted that the SAP's interventions are expected to improve productivity, expand processing capacity, and strengthen value chain linkages across the state. He emphasized that the multi-stakeholder forum will help coordinate actors, resolve bottlenecks, and ensure that policy decisions are informed by real sector needs. According to him, the platform is designed to support inclusive and sustainable agribusiness development. National Program Coordinator Dr. Yusuf Kabir said the MAF is structured to promote dialogue among farmers, processors, financiers, and development partners. He highlighted its role in fostering collaboration, accountability, and transparency throughout the SAP's implementation process. Kabir maintained that his approach will accelerate adoption of innovations and encourage private sector investments. Kabir further explained that the forum will improve information sharing, bridge communication gaps, and ensure policy coherence as the state scales up agricultural activities. He expressed confidence that the platform will enhance competitiveness, increase rural incomes, and strengthen Ogun's position as one of Nigeria's leading agribusiness hubs. Stakeholders welcomed the initiative, describing it as timely and transformative. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reiterated his administration's commitment to strengthening the business environment, especially for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the 2025 Lagos International Trade Fair, he said MSMEs remain the backbone of the state's economy and require sustained support through infrastructure and regulatory reforms. He highlighted key investments including Lekki Free Trade Zone and the ongoing expansion of the blue and red rail lines. Sanwo-Olu noted that Lagos' GDP has grown by almost 50% in the last 5 years, surpassing the economics of over 40 African countries. He pledged continued investment in transport, logistics, and power to stimulate growth and attract more global investors. The governor also announced plans to streamline business approvals through a digital one-stop platform to reduce bottlenecks and enhance efficiency. Team Nigeria is intensifying its push to climb the medals table at the ongoing Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The country currently sits in 6th place with 14 medals, 6 gold, 5 silver, and 3 bronze, most of them won in weightlifting. Officials believe that as more events begin, the delegation has a strong chance of improving its overall ranking before the competition winds down. Attention is now shifting to track and field, wrestling, and parasports, which is expected to yield a significant medal haul. Nigeria's taekwondo star Elizabeth Anyanacho, who recently set a 20-year national record, is among the top medal prospects as she advances to the quarter-final stage. With 43 gold medals available in athletics alone, the team is banking on a big turnaround. The wrestling contingent will begin its campaign tomorrow, and coaches say preparations have been strong despite stiff competition from North African and Middle Eastern countries. The team is fielding a blend of experienced wrestlers and promising newcomers expected to challenge for podium finishes. Officials anticipate that wrestling events will provide a critical boost to Nigerians' medal tally. Nigerian para-athletes, especially the para-powerlifting team, are also expected to deliver strong performances. The squad recently finished second at the World Champions in Egypt, raising hopes of a repeat display in Riyadh. Para-powerlifting begins Friday, while other para-sports events start tomorrow. With a mix of foreign-based and homegrown athletes, Team Nigeria is determined to leave a strong mark at the Games. Nigeria is mourning the death of football icon Elder Lawrence Onwazu Okonji, fondly called Daddy of Soccer and Goal Sniffer, who passed away at age 83. Celebrated for his sharp instincts and prolific scoring ability, Okonji enjoyed a distinguished playing and coaching career that spanned decades and left a lasting imprint on Nigerian football. His passing has drawn tribute from fans, former teammates, and football administrators nationwide. Born in 1943, Okonji played for several of Nigeria's leading clubs, including Aba Giant Killers, Eyimba, Port Harcourt Red Devils, Sharks FC, and ECN Nepa FC Lagos. His talent earned him an invitation to the national team, the Green Eagles, in 1963, where he featured prominently between 1965 and 1973. One of his most memorable moments was scoring the final goal at the historic Onika Stadium before it was ceremonially closed in 1973. After his playing years, Okonji transitioned to coaching and managed clubs such as NPA FC, Guinness FC, and Delta Force. Known for his discipline and eye for talent, he played a key role in grooming several notable Nigerian footballers, including Adokiye Amen Smaka and Aloy Ago. Throughout his life, Okonji championed youth development and community-based sports, values that earned him a traditional chieftaincy title in Delta State. Tributes described him as a mentor, disciplinarian, and national treasure whose legacy will endure through many players. Nigerian coach Eric Schell has alleged that a DR Congo staff member performed voodoo rituals during the penalty shootout that ended the Super Eagles World Cup hopes in Rabat. The match, which ended 1-1 after 120 minutes, went to penalties and saw Nigeria lose 4-3. Schell made the claim in a video interview expressing visible frustration after the dramatic elimination. He alleged that the official repeatedly performed unidentified ritual gestures during the VAR review, leading to one of the penalty decisions. Shell demonstrated the gesture during the interview but admitted he could not confirm what the individual was holding, saying it might have been water or another object. And now to entertainment. Actress Ruby Akubueze, fresh from her AMAA win for Best Young Promising Actor for her role in Three Cold Dishes, says her emotional connection to characters is what gives her performance depth. The Abia-born actress moved to Lagos in 2017 to pursue her dream of telling powerful Nigerian stories, and the award, she says, has validated her dedication. She described the recognition as both humbling and motivating. Akubueze noted that although the award was open new opportunities, her approach to the craft remains consistent. She sees acting, modeling, and music as interconnected creative outlets that reinforce one another. However, she acknowledged that detaching from intense roles can be difficult, especially characters like young Esosa in Three Cold Dishes, whose emotional weight required deliberate decompression afterward. Nigeria's socialite and budding singer Cubana Chief Priest has expressed profound gratitude to veteran actress Ngozi Ezonu for offering emotional support during the shoot of his upcoming music video. Ezonu plays the role of his mother in the project, a casting choice that triggered deep memories for the entertainer, who has often spoken about his late mother. He said the actress uplifted him at a vulnerable moment on set. Cubana Chief Priest shared behind-the-scenes photos on Instagram, explaining that Ezonu comforted him immediately after hearing his emotional recollection about his mother's passing. He said her kind words and calming presence restored his energy and helped him continue the shoot. According to him, the experience reaffirmed the impact of maternal love, whether real or portrayed on scene. The entertainer, who has been vocal about his renewed spiritual outlook, linked the moment of his ongoing effort to live a more grounded and faith-centered life. He has recently encouraged his followers to embrace spirituality, humility, and positivity, even sharing that he flew economy class as part of his desire to stay modest. Fans have noted that he appears more reflective and intentional in recent months. Cubana Chief Priest is also preparing for what he described as a grand 10th anniversary memorial celebration for his mother next year. He said working with Ezonu on the video has strengthened his resolve to honor her memory in a meaningful way. The project is expected to feature prominently in his upcoming music releases and personal rebranding efforts. And now to end news across the country, here are the main points again. The National Union of Electricity Employees, NUEE, has threatened a nationwide shutdown after police officers allegedly assaulted and abducted staff at the Able Transmission Substation in Imo State during a forced attempt to disconnect power. The Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, visited the bandit-troubled Faruwa community, urging expanded community vigilance and proactive support for security agencies to repel incursions originating from neighboring Katsina states. The 24-member Abia House of Assembly has formally written to President Bola Tinubu, urging him to invoke a no prosecute to secure the unconditional release of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu as a gesture of peace and reconciliation. Meanwhile, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu announced that Lagos State's GDP has risen by nearly 50% in the last 5 years, now surpassing the economies of over 40 African countries. We told you civil society organizations, CSOs, have strongly cautioned Nigerians' delegation attending the 11th conference of the parties to the WHO's FCTC in Geneva, urging them to reject pressure from the tobacco industry. And that's news across the country at noon. For breaking news and eyewitness reports, call 070-3043-7110 or follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. On behalf of the producer Chidima Sogwa and the entire news team, I'm Deborah Wakaba. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Audio Jungle.
Sex is sacred, not shameful. In its truest form, it is more than the body. It is soul speaking to soul, fire woven with trust, vulnerability clothed in consent. But when misused, it breaks more than bodies, it fractures spirits. That is why it must be approached with reverence, not recklessness. Let us teach to love before lust, connection before conquest. For when sex is honored, it becomes not just pleasure, but poetry.
Sexual and gender-based violence (SGBV) is one of the most pervasive and pressing human rights issues globally, affecting 1 in 3 women in their lifetime, often by intimate partners. Non-partner sexual violence affects at least 6% of women globally and among adolescent girls aged 15 to 19, with about 15 million having faced forced sex. In regions like Sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Asia, including Nigeria, the problem is particularly acute, reflecting deep-seated cultural norms, weak legal systems, and the lack of political will to combat it. In Nigeria, sexual and gender-based violence remains a challenge despite efforts being made by different stakeholders to curb the scourge. This is buttressed by the National Demographic and Health Survey (NDHS) 2018, which revealed that 30% of women aged 15 to 14 have experienced physical violence since age of 15. 7% of women in that same age group reported experiencing sexual violence at some point in their lives, while 1 in 4 women, that's 25%, have experienced spousal violence, emotional, physical, or sexual, by their husbands or partner. What is more disturbing is the prey on children and adolescent victims. According to UNICEF, 25% of girls and 10% of boys in Nigeria have been sexually abused before turning 18. This implies that 1 in 5 Nigerian girls experience sexual violence before 18 years. From metropolitan cities like Abuja and Lagos to rural areas in states across Nigeria, women, girls, men, and boys continue to face physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, often from those closest to them. In some cases, this abuse is perpetuated by influential members of the society. Even more disturbing is that the majority of cases go unreported, buried under layers of fear, ignorance, family ties, shame, and societal silence. Sexual and gender-based violence is not a new phenomenon. Its roots are deeply embedded in history, culture, power dynamics, and deep-seated inequalities in power and social structures, particularly those that perpetuate the dominance of men over women. It's a complex issue with roots in cultural norms, societal beliefs, and historical practices that normalize violence and discrimination against women. One of the oldest and most significant roots of SGBV is patriarchy, a societal system where men hold primary power. Societies have historically placed men in dominant roles, with women expected to be submissive, obedient, and silent. This imbalance has often justified violence against women as a means of control or punishment. Harmful traditional practices such as child marriage, female genital mutilation (FGM), widowhood rights, and honor killings are deeply rooted in societal customs. In many cultures, these practices are normalized and rarely questioned, even when they involve violence. Historically, laws and institutions supported or ignored violence against women and marginalized groups. For example, marital rape was not considered a crime in many countries until recent decades. Slavery, colonization, and armed conflicts also contributed to institutionalizing sexual violence, especially against women and girls. SGBV is often used as a weapon of war or conflict, where sexual violence is inflicted to humiliate, dominate, or destroy communities during wars and internal conflicts. Women and girls are often disproportionately targeted by sexual violence. Women have also fallen victims to rape during armed robbery operations. Additionally, economic dependence on men has made many women vulnerable to abuse, as they fear losing support or livelihood if they speak up. In workplaces, schools, and communities, people in authority often exploit their power through coercion and harassment for the purpose of emphasis. Some of the factors contributing to the prevalence of SGBV include unequal power relations, inordinate sexual fantasies and orientation, harmful traditional and cultural practices or beliefs, gender stereotypes, lack of enforcement of laws, poverty, armed conflict, denormalization of violence in communities, stigma and victim blaming, family ties, the Nigerian factor, suppression of cases, low awareness about rights, weak institutional frameworks, unwillingness of victims' family to pursue justice, among others. In many cultures, patriarchal norms reinforce male dominance and female subservience, discouraging victims from speaking out or seeking justice. SGBV refers to harmful acts or abuse committed against a person because of his or her sex or gender. It is forcing another person to do something against his or her will through violence, coercion, threats, deception, cultural expectations, or economic means. It includes a wide range of abuses such as domestic or intimate partner violence, forced marriage and child marriage, female genital mutilation (FGM), sexual harassment and exploitation, emotional and psychological abuse. Sexual violence is any act attempted or threatened that is sexual in nature and carried out without the consent of the victim. Sexual violence includes rape and sexual assault, sexual abuse and harassment, exploitation and forced prostitution. It can happen within marriages, especially when there is a lack of consent for sexual activity by one of the spouses. Any sexual activity with a child, any person who has not yet completed 18 years of age, constitutes sexual violence. The impact of SGBV is far-reaching. These acts not only violate fundamental human rights, but also lead to long-term physical, mental, and emotional trauma. It has devastating effects on the development of a child involved, as well as on his or her physical and mental health. SGBV has health, economic, and social impacts on the victims. Victims may suffer from health disorders. Victims may be unable to work or attend school, affecting their economic independence. Survivors often face ostracization, stigma, and isolation from their communities. To combat SGBV effectively, there is need for a multi-sectoral approach that would involve as key actors public awareness. There is need for public awareness on the ills associated with SGBV. Victims, survivors, their families, and other members of the public need information on how to seek help and justice. They need a new orientation on how to handle SGBV cases. They need to be educated on the need of speaking up and seeking justice. Even when community leaders want to cover up, they need to know that there are support services available for them. Community education and media campaigns can help change harmful gender norms and encourage reporting. Strengthen legal. 1. Public awareness. 2. Strengthen legal frameworks. There is a need for strong legislation on SGBV, as well as strict implementation of laws. Existing laws like Child Rights Act 2003, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, VAP Act 2025, and Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Enforcement and Administration Act 2015 should be enforced to the latter. States yet to domesticate the VAP Act should do so and possibly establish special GBV courts or gender response unit or team. The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act passed in 2015, has been a significant milestone, but its implementation remains weak and uneven across Nigeria's 36 states. 3. Empower victims. Create safe spaces, hotlines, and shelter for survivors and support them with legal and psychological assistance. Only 30% of victims seek help due to fear, stigma, and lack of trust in law enforcement. 4. Promote gender equality. Address the root causes of gender inequality through education and economic empowerment. 5. Funding. Prosecution of SGBV cases requires funds. Prosecution of SGBV cases requires funds. The victims and their families are usually financially incapacitated to prosecute the case. In all cases, the prosecution is done by a government agency or ministry within the limited resources available to them. There is need for adequate funding to agencies or units and the Ministry of Justice to help them prosecute the cases. Logistic supports to volunteers and service providers on SGBV issues. 6. Increased number of state councils. Having a reasonable number of state councils willing to specialize in SGBV cases will definitely add an impetus in the fight against the scourge. 7. Naming and shaming. Just like Lagos and Anambra states have cued into the policy of naming and shaming the offenders, other states need to align. The Sexual Offender Register, managed by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, is only accessible online currently. The register serves as a tool to document and track cases of sexual violence and abuse, including those reported, arraigned, or convicted under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition (VAP) Act. The register includes information on convicted offenders as well as those who have been arraigned or reported, with varying levels of access depending on the user and the nature of the information. 8. Train law enforcement. Equip police, judiciary, and healthcare workers to handle SGBV cases with sensitivity and urgency. Aside the already listed measures, establishment of specialized SGBV prosecution units, a national SGBV agency, launched grassroots engagement structures, making it easy for victims to report and seek protection and justice in the case of SGBV. Strengthening of data collection and reporting systems, the designation of special courts for SGBV cases, operationalization of the VAP Law 2017, and robust multi-agency coordination can go a long way in fighting the systemic social malady. The origin of SGBV lies in systemic inequality reinforced over centuries by culture, power structures, conflict, and law. To eliminate SGBV, societies must address these root causes by promoting equality, education, legal reforms, and accountability. SGBV is so pervasive that the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, and the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, have committed to the global movement to end violence against women and children, which began at the inaugural Women's Global Leadership Institute in 1991. Despite growing awareness and advocacy, millions of women, girls, men, and boys continue to face various forms of violence simply because of their gender or sexual orientation. This is why efforts must be doubled to tame this scourge, which is more than a societal issue, but also a public health emergency, a human rights violation, and a barrier to sustainable development. We must join hands together in fighting this menace. If you cannot prosecute or fund a prosecution, you can volunteer information on SGBV. You can volunteer information on SGBV. If you cannot volunteer information, you can create awareness or create a safe space for a victim. If you cannot create awareness, you can contribute to diluting the patriarchy, societal structures, and cultural hegemonic practices that normalize violence and discrimination against women. It is also important for state governments to support community initiatives, as well as non-governmental organizations' efforts aimed at preventing sexual and gender-based violence crimes in the country.
1 Timothy 6 verse 10 reminds us, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. By craving it, some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows." The so-called instant wealth mentality, often described as the get-rich-quick syndrome, refers to the rapacious desire to acquire financial wealth through questionable or unauthorized means solely to satisfy interests or selfish ambitions. In former days, Nigerians prided themselves on the dignity of labor, hard work, humility, endurance, respect for elders, and perseverance, where values were deeply taught by parents and guardians. These virtues propelled many young people into apprenticeship, skill acquisition, and education with the hope of building a solid future. But today, the narrative is changing. With the advent of technology and the erosion of values, many youths have abandoned diligence and now chase wealth by any means. Over time, some parents even began forcing their daughters into marriages with wealthy men, as there's an Igbo adage that says, "Ogobuchi onye," meaning in-laws determine destiny, regardless of love or compatibility. Likewise, some parents urge their sons to make money like their mates without caring about the source. This cultural shift fractured society. Instead of rising through hard work, many young people now want to rise like the Iroko tree, tall, proud, but with little or no traces of foundational hard work. Some have indulged into money rituals, popularly known as ukite, cybercrime, popularly known as Yahoo, prostitution, vandalism, kidnapping, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and theft. The get-rich-quick mentality is not a Nigerian problem. It is a global issue. It spreads like wildfire. In pharmaceuticals, some produce fake or adulterated drugs, repackage expired medicines, or sell counterfeit drinks and foods. Others flood the market with harmful skincare products or inferior tires that burst on highways, claiming innocent lives, all in the name of profit. In public service, corruption thrives. Officials embezzle humongous funds, collect bribes, and divert resources meant for development. Some engineers cut corners by using substandard materials to build roads that collapse within months. Certain nurses exchange babies for money, while baby factories exploit young pregnant girls. Some native doctors encourage blood money rituals, while prosperity-preaching pastors promise instant success without labor, even blessing fraudsters and urging them to pay tithes. But is this truly the right way to make money? Must everyone be rich and influential at all costs? Some Enugu residents who spoke with Aneke TV lamented the moral collapse.
In recent time, we have seen a deviation from hard work and the entrenchment of laziness among the youths and the upcoming ones, because you now see a situation where people don't no longer take patience in hard work, like not you want to reap when we did not sow, or you want to sow today and you know that in the process of planting you have to sow, you have to wait. There's a gestation period, and then before you talk of harvesting. But these days, the young ones want to sow today and then reap the next day. That is get rich quick thing.
They want to belong because when they see their mates, and when they see their mates driving big cars, they want to belong. Some parents are also the cause, because the way they talk to their children, they compare their children to the children of their neighbors or their co-wives. That's one of the things to me.
Some of the parents contribute to this get-rich-quick syndrome, because when the parents begin to compare the child with other people, you are telling your child, have you not seen Mr. A, how he's doing well, buying houses for the parents, doing this and doing that? That child will feel bad, or we want to go to any length in impressing you to show that, okay, you know, to make you proud. That is what some of them, you get them, they say, I want to make my parents proud, because the parents refuse to be proud of them because they have not met up with the other people they are comparing them with. So you don't compare your child with anybody.
They noted that society has grown cold, not just cold but frozen. The poor are despised, mocked and branded as cursed, while the wealthy are exalted regardless of how they earned their wealth. This disturbing trend calls for sober reflection. It is time to pause, reconsider and retrace our steps for the sake of ourselves, our families and our nation. As the proverb warns, he who knows how to pound should pound on a mortar, but he who doesn't know how to pound should pound on the floor. Let's always reflect on the words of the gospel preacher in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Chidimi Kemedem, Aneke TV.
I'm Ernest Mesoma, and we are out the streets today to talk about what Nigerians think about WAEC going digital in 2026 and how it will affect village students.
Okay, I have no issue with WAEC coming digital 2026, but they should do preparation before 2026, making sure that every examination center has adequate computer system for all their students, their candidates, and then ensuring that all the candidates are computer compliant. It's not just bringing computer and then telling the student that cannot operate computer to start writing the exam using computer. It's going to be a waste of time, waste of resources, and waste of energy. So if they can get the student ready for CBT before 2026, they should bring it. Otherwise, the first thing is to get them ready and get the schools equipped. Shikina?
Actually, I have no problem with WAEC going digital. But the problem is, how sure are they that in some rural areas there is network? Are you getting it? Because in past experience, I discovered that in some jam centers, at times network do give problem, and before the candidate will meet up, at times fluctuation of network, it will affect the student capability or ability to pass very well. And secondly, talk of electricity or power supply. In last time there was a standby generator, but unfortunately there was no NEPA and the standby gen went off. So I don't know the level of plan or that they have put in place to make sure that all these things won't affect student performance.
Of course. It's not like WAEC going digital is a bad thing per se. My worry is that whether we as a country we are old enough in terms of the facilities we have to be able to accommodate everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean both in the rural area and both in the urban areas. Because you find out that there are some rural areas we visit in Nigeria today and you see that you can't have internet connection there. Some don't have enough computers to be able to make this exam CBT. So it's a step in the right direction, but I feel that we really have to do a lot to provide all that is needed to be able to accomplish it. If not, a whole lot of people, especially those in the rural area, will not be able to participate, and that will be unfair to them.
I believe that WAEC going digital in 2026 is the right step in the right direction, because the world is going AI now. You can't change it. If you want to move forward, you move forward. If you want to be left behind, you'll be left behind. So Nigeria needs to carry their people along so that nobody will be left behind. The whole world, globally, is going on AI now. Digital is acclimatizing everything in the world now. So there's no other option than to get along. So our government will have to carry our people along. So if you refuse to go along, they'll drop you. Others will move on.
I don't think that those in rural area, they must have considered those students and also make provision for that. So I don't think there is any way it's going to affect them. The only thing they get to do is to train the teachers so that they can also train those students at the rural area involving the digital they want to go. So in every aspect of planning to do, I felt that the government has
budgeted for that and also make provision for those students. It's not going to affect them in any way.
These are the thoughts of Nigerians and how WAEC going digital will affect village students. I'm Ernest Misoma.
Hello, I'm Chidimbi Kemede, and we're on the streets today to find out from Nigerians if the ban of sachet alcohol and small bottle alcohol is going to make the youth drink less or is going to make them to go for more expensive ones. Join us.
The ban on sachet alcohol will reduce the rate at which you take alcohol. It will equally help, in keeping the environment neater, because the way they dispose the sachet everywhere, it's not really nice. Being that the sachet is not something that can decompose, it's harmful to the society. So that's on that. So I think really it will help reduce, because first of all, the sachet alcohol is cheaper, so it's affordable to the lowest of the low in the society. But if you reduce that and they have to buy the big one, of course they'll have to save up to be able to buy that big bottle, and it will help discourage the rate at which they take it. Of course it will.